Alrighty. Hello, hello. How's everyone's morning? Here is our new just chatting stream. I hope you like it. I'm so glad I was able to make it today. As you know, we're going to be resuming our life today, and we're going to grow up a little. Hopefully there will be less crying this time around. Welcome in though. It's so nice to see you. Okay, I'm going to fix this real quick. I got all my water here since I'm gonna be reading a lot today. I also have more surprises coming in the future. I decided that I'll probably be doing the VTUBER stream on either the 25th or the 26th because I have to leave on the 28th and pack on the day before, so it'll work out better. So keep an eye out. We're gonna be doing a nice cool Halloween stream. I also made a post if you all want to submit your ghost hunting videos or whatever that you think are really fun, that would be great too. I'll watch them on stream. But yeah, I'm still planning it a little bit. We got about a week and a half, so yeah, it'll be super fun. Let me make sure that everything is okay. Let me know if the music is too loud, because I honestly won't be able to tell until I get a sound manager. I won't be able to really tell. But okay, we're gonna go ahead and set this up. All right. There we go. I don't know why it was being picky. Okay. Oh, where did my stuff go? There we go. Alrighty. So we are resuming our role as Bish Bish. And I think we left off with meeting Cove's mom. Is that correct? I believe so. Alright, I'm gonna get a drink of water and then we're gonna start. Oh, they also, they stopped construction yesterday, so it was great timing. We're finally back on track. Okay. Now we don't have to worry about loud banging in the background of all my videos. Okay, we are ready. The two of you head over to where Cove's mom had just knocked on your front door and stood behind her. Mom answered the door after a minute, her eyebrows lifting in surprise at the group she found in front of her. You realize that, like you, she would have no idea that it was Cove's mom who was hanging with you. However, after blinking at the woman a couple of times and looking between her and Cove, the realization seemed to strike on her. Hello there, I'm Pamela. I see you've met my kid Bish. I'm guessing you've already known Cove for a while. Kyra laughed, and you and Cove exchanged looks at your parents' weird sense of humor. I'm Kyra Priest, Cove's mom. It's so nice to meet you. A head of purple-brown hair caught your eye as Ma popped up behind Mom, squeezing herself in beside her. We have company. I was wondering what all the commotion was. She grinned excitedly at Kyra. The two of them introduced themselves and shook hands. Hold on just a minute, I want to make sure. Okay. There we go. Hopefully that's a little better. She grinned excitingly at Kyra. The two of them introduced themselves and shook hands. Hi, Bish, Cove. Cove smiled at Ma shyly, and she gestured a hand towards the living room. There's no use hanging around in the doorway. Why don't you come in? I'd love to, but I promised to take my son out to eat, and I wouldn't want to hold you up with a surprise visit. You're welcome to stop by any time. Would you mind too much if Bish went with Cove and I? My treat. We won't be driving, just a quick walk down the road.
Have fun.
She seems really considerate as a mom. I know Cove is having some troubles, but she seems pretty cool, right? I don't know. I don't have any reason to not like her yet, I guess. You were annoyed? I don't think we're annoyed. I think it's cool that they're letting us go with Cove, right? You could tell that Cove really needed the support and you were ready to be there for him. Marvelous. Expect us back in an hour or two. Your parents waved goodbye, and the three of you, as you backed up onto the street, there was a sound of the front door closing behind you. I'm pretty positive I saw some restaurants when I was in the taxi not too far from here. Yeah, it's a tourist town, isn't it? There's a lot of them around. It was kind of strange to see Cove give someone this much attitude. If he wasn't in the mood to be nice, he generally just kept to himself. Kara put her hands on her hips and smiled at her son. Well, you sound like the area expert. Do you have any recommendations for a place nearby? Not really. Okay, Cove. Kyra pouted at him a little and turned to you instead. How about you, Bish? Want to point me in the right direction? I think we just nod. We're not going to open up to her quite yet. You'd been to a lot of places in town, so you knew a couple of good ones. There's a Chinese restaurant that me and my family go to all the time. It's my mom's favorite. There's also a tropical themed place that tries to be sort of fancy. Both sound like a treat. I'll leave it to you to pick for us, since Cove is going through a phase over there. He huffed at her and turned his face away. I forget, are we still in middle school? I think we're in like 6th, 7th grade, right? I can't remember. Okay. Where should we eat? Should we eat at the tropical, the Chinese? Or you insist Cove, you insist Kyra decide? I don't know. I kind of want to eat at the Chinese restaurant personally. I'm always in a mood for some sweet and sour chicken. You nodded, taking the lead of your little group as Cove and his mom followed behind you. Together, the three of you left the neighborhood behind. The walk was about 15 minutes, and along the way, Kyra asked a lot of questions about the area. Cove was quiet most of the time, so you ended up answering her instead. Kyra explained that she lived in a large city, and she loved how peaceful and relaxing everything seemed in Sunset Bird. The restaurant was busy as usual, but luckily you were shown right to a small table. Kyra lowered herself into the chair while Cove picked the one diagonal to her, not facing her or to her side. It was awkward. Ahem. Let's see, to start, what would you all like to drink? Cove's gonna get an orange soda, guys. I don't know how I feel about that. Personally, I was always a grape soda as a kid. Those Fanta grape sodas were so good. What are we gonna drink? We're not gonna drink coffee. I think we'll sit soda too. Why would we want juice? We're not that young. Which flavor? Oh, here's our chance. Oh, I like root beer though. But as a kid, I loved grape. We'll get grape. She got a hot black coffee for herself, and it didn't take long before they were brought to the table and set in front of you. Took a long sip of your drink as you looked around the restaurant. Your small group checked over the menus, and you decided to order the usual thing. You had been to this restaurant many times, so you knew what was good and wasn't already. Kyra and Cove didn't need any encouragement for this. They were totally focused on the information in front of them. Soon the meals too were ordered and the menus taken away. You glanced at the table service, waiting to figure out what to say. Cove sunk back further into his seat and avoided eye contact. He started to twiddle his thumbs while acting like all this was perfectly normal. His sour feelings today were unignorable. Instead of asking more open questions he brushed off, Kyra had mercy on her son and instead put her focus towards you. I don't think that's mercy on him. I don't think she should be focused on me right now. This whole thing was about her and her son, right? I'm kind of just supposed to be a third wheel supporting Cove. What's a few things that you're into? There's gotta be something you do for fun, especially now that you're not buried in school assignments. Oh wow, we got a lot of options here. We got reading, watching stuff, games, hanging out with people, go to the beach, into sports, art, writing, fashion. I'm really into Cove. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be picking that one. I think we should do art. I mean, games would be relatable right now, but I think we should do art. That gives us something to talk about, right? That's what I would say in real life, honestly. Ooh, we create digitally. I just started creating digital art, so this will be fun. My computer at home doesn't really have all the programs I need. And I think we pick games. Should we do board games? No, I think we'll do video games. I don't know much about them. Maybe you can show me sometime. And what? Oh, we get to pick as many things as we want. Music. Oh, we can play an actual... Type in your own instrument. Oh my goodness. The cello's pretty cool. What instrument do we want to play? As a kid, I always wanted to learn the drums, but I ended up playing the clarinet. Should we put in clarinet? Make us, since it's our character. Oh, the example is clarinet. Okay. All right. And that's about it. Cove leaves the details out. He was trying not to pay attention, but you could tell he was uncomfortable. Hoping it would clear some of the tension in the air, you decide to ask Kyra a few questions of your own. Cove hadn't told you much about her, and you were curious to know more about this woman who was such a big part of his life. What exactly do you do for work? That's a fair question. I'm a travel writer for magazines and things. I keep people in the loop on what's worth seeing. It's good work. We are not going to ask her if she is in a new relationship. That is not something you ask a woman you just met. What do you like to do? Where do you live normally? Why did you... Oh my gosh, these two questions here, they are so risky. We'll ask what she likes to do. Spend time with my little boy. Where do you live normally? She lives in Nevada. I have never been to Nevada. I heard it's beautiful though. Couldn't bring yourself to ask another question for sure. We are not asking her those uncomfortable questions. Cove sipped his soda angrily, slurping up the remaining drink with furrowed brows. He looked ready to run straight out of the restaurant. You weren't sure if coming along had ended up making the lunch better or worse. We're gonna flick our straw wrapper at him, get him to lighten up. Took a couple moments, but finally he cracked a smile, and that made you feel a little lighter inside. You two seem really cute together. Okay, Mom. Miss Cove's mom, making assumptions like that. Now he's gonna be all embarrassed and hide away again. Cove covered his face with his hands and leaned back in the seat. Yep, I knew it. I knew it.
Seriously?
Why would you say that, Mom? Ugh.
Oh.
Should we be confident and be like, yep, we're cuties? I think we should just laugh. It was definitely unexpected, and there didn't seem to be any other way you could react. Your meals were delivered shortly after that, and everything was so delicious. Even Cove enjoyed his food. Heck yeah, we're great at picking restaurants. Alright, now that we're full and content, can you please explain why you've had a bug up your butt all day? I've never heard that expression in my life. I've heard like peed in your Cheerios. I've never heard a bug up your butt. I've heard stick. I've heard there's a stick up your butt, but no bug. That's weird. Cove's face scrunched at that. Seriously, what did Mom do to make you this mad? I haven't even been around a full day yet. He gripped the edge of the table, refusing to make eye contact. The words he spoke were barely inaudible over the din of the restaurant. You could have told me. Told you what? What are we missing? That I wasn't going to visit you this year, that you were going to be coming instead. Didn't you invite me? You wanted me to be here with you. Cove's eyes began to shake and his frustration ebbed. I do want you to be around, but I didn't know it'd be like this. It's not the same and nobody said anything. Her expression grew tense. She threaded her fingers together and placed her hands in front of her on the table. We've both been gifted another Clifford surprise? What does that even mean? Oh, referring to that as a Clifford surprise almost caused both of you and Cove to crack a smile. You also had no idea his name wasn't just Cliff. Over 5 years, nobody had ever called him Clifford until now. She smoothed her hair out, not letting go of her stern look. Are we talking about his father? His father's name is Cliff, right? I can't remember. The more they stay the same. Okay, so the more things change, the more they stay the same. That doesn't make sense either. They let out identical sighs, but smiled weakly at one another afterwards. I can go home, Cove. We can still set up a normal trip to my place before the summer ends. Cove's lips tightly closed together. He seriously pondered the option. Don't send your mom away, dude. You're gonna regret it if you send your mom away. I think I do want you to stay. I miss it when you're not there. Aw, she's happy. She reached across the gap, grabbed his face, and planted a kiss on his cheek. Cove tried to wiggle away. Mom, stop. I'm sorry, sweet young men need to be smooched by their parents. If I don't, they'll take away my mom license. Kyra was completely enthused by Cove's admission, though a tone of seriousness did return to her voice when the conversation continued. Do you want to talk to your dad too? No. Oh, he was really adamant about that no. Cove had snapped the word instantly, but reeled his annoyance back in just as quickly. Maybe later, not today. Okay. And thank you, Bish. Oh, it's on to us now. What did I do? It's easy to act like a baby with your mom. It's harder to keep that up with your neighbor watching everything. That is true. Especially when you really care about what said neighbor thinks of you. Oh, she's embarrassing him again. She just ruffled his hair with a laugh, then moved her hand down to tap the end of his nose. And that was how the issue was resolved, at least between Cove and his mom. When the three of you left the restaurant and Kyra had paid the bill, you walked back to your neighborhood slowly. You had eaten so much by that time, you were beginning to feel sleepy. It didn't help that lunch had happened late and the sun was already beginning to descend from the sky. But eventually, you reached your street. Someone was there to greet your group upon arrival. He looks different. Did he do his hair different or something? I feel like his hair was pulled back before. Welcome back, family, and Bish too. Oh wow, they really just name dropped. The two walked past them into the condo without sparing another word. Despite the summer heat, their shoulders were cold. He's in trouble, all right. He rubbed the back of his neck with a crooked smile, but his eyes were soft as he looked on after them. He's so much like his mom, don't you think? You gave a vague nod, not sure what he was expecting you to do. He nodded back, far more energetically. Okay, have a nice night, Bish. You too, Mr. Holden. With that, Cove's dad disappeared to join others inside. It was your turn to go home now. Summer hadn't started off at all how you imagined it would have, though it turned out to set the tone well. Having Kyra in the neighborhood was a new experience, for not only you and Cove, but also both your families, and a dull moment was rarely had. Okay, we got our moments set up. We have 5 moments today. Wave, growing, family, dinner, and road trip. I really want to do the road trip, but I'm going to get a drink of water before we start that one. Okay. Let's do... Oh, by the way, guys, I noticed we're at 69 follows right before stream started. So thank you guys for the follows, and I'm glad I caught the funny number. Okay, I think we're gonna start off with road trip. Since we just did lunch, we don't really need to hop into dinner. Yeah, I think we're gonna do road trip. Even though you were awake, the sun had barely peeked its head above the horizon, and the sky above was still dark, though lightening by the end of it. Lightning? Instead of lightning? Lightning. Okay, anyway. Usually you wouldn't be up so early, especially during summer vacation, but today was different. Today, instead of the lazy days you were used to, everything around you was a flurry of activity as both your family and Coves prepped for what lay ahead. Because parked in the street, just outside your house, was a massive RV camper. So big you couldn't even see Cove's house behind it. Wow, we got some rich parents. His parents had rented the RV for a few days to take him on a short road trip to see the Redwood National Park. Okay, so we're going to a national park, guys. That's exciting. I've never been to Redwood, but I hear it's beautiful. He glanced at Cove, who was standing nearby, taking in the scene in front of him. The prospect of the trip had to be a mixed bag for him, but it was only for 3 days, so it seemed he was dealing with it as best as he could, especially now that you and your family were joining them. You weren't sure how exactly it had happened. You just knew your parents and Cove spoke to each other often. Somewhere along the way, plans were made after Cliff offered to share the space. The parents all thought it was a fantastic idea. You had already gotten a good look inside while helping to load everything in, and you had to admit that while it was a really big car, fitting that many people inside was going to be snug.
Let's go.
Move it or lose it, kiddo. Mom bustled past with a cooler in one hand and a large bottle of water under the other. She was upbeat for this early in the morning. Yeah, I am not an upbeat person. Oh my gosh, I'm just like Ma. This is how I would be dressed and everything. For a road trip, are you kidding me? I dress in the most lazy clothes I can find. She followed behind her wife, dragging her feet on every step. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna need a whole jug of coffee once we hit the road. Personally, you were raring to go as your mom. You felt like you were in the middle. I think we relate to Mom. You yawned and rubbed your eyes, still sleepy from the early morning wake-up call. The air outside was still damp from dew, and that helped make you a bit more alert. I wonder if our sister is coming. Like, is she in high school now, or? Oh, there she is. And then at the end of the chain came your sister. She had a bone to pick before the trip officially started. Her rattling off critiques added some level of normalcy to everything new going on. I don't get why I can't sleep in the bed tonight. Bish is the youngest, and I'll never fall asleep in that loft. We're trying to make things fair on everyone. If you want to play the older card, you should be offering to take the loft both nights. It's more important for big siblings to make sacrifices for their younger ones. I don't know. I'm the youngest of my siblings, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I think things should be fair. And I feel like there's a lot of responsibility that often gets put on the older siblings. That can be unfair, you know? So as the youngest sibling, I vote that we should share the time in the bed or whatever. Elizabeth huffed, not happy with that answer in the slightest, and folded her arms, leaning back against the side of the RV. The trip plans had been nailed down prior, the sleeping arrangements included. Elizabeth still held on to her objections with them. There was a main area of the RV with a couch, loft, and some floor space. At the end of the car was a room with a large bed. Your moms were sharing the bed, Kyra was on the couch, and father and son intended to sleep on the floor? That's gonna be awful. The adults determined you and Elizabeth would switch between the small loft above the driver's seat and sharing the beds with Mom. I think we should be on the floor. This isn't our RV. It's Cliff's RV. It's Cliff and Cove's RV. Why are they the ones sleeping on the floor? Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Despair, oh whoa. Thank you for the follow. We're now at 70. Can you believe it? The funny number is gone so fast. But welcome in. Hi, I'm probably gonna lurk. Just wanted to stop by. No, that's completely fine. I'm glad you're here. We're just resuming our visual novel. I think as a kid we'd be pretty excited to sleep in a loft. Alright, you lot, does everyone have everything they need? Look how beautiful and cozy our mother is. We're heading out in 5 minutes. Now's the time to double check. You don't want to forget something important. How about you, Bish? Do you have all your clothes packed? Toiletries, deodorant, floss? Anything else you can think of? I think we should give her a flat look. No, we'll run back inside because we might be forgetting something. Oh, we did. We forgot our toothbrush. You were glad you were reminded to grab it after having left it out to use this morning. It would have been embarrassing if you couldn't brush your teeth for the next few days. Your ma was still there, waiting with a knowing expression as you walked out again. Got everything now? With a few minutes left to spare before leaving, you mentally went over what you had packed for the trip. Clothes, a pillow, blanket, usual day-to-day gear for most people. You also had more personal things, such as... What did we bring? I want to bring my camera. That would be cute. We get pictures. It's just a little pocket camera you had gotten from your mom's, but you couldn't miss the opportunity to take some new snaps. I want to bring our MP3 player for sure. And a couple of things to read, because that's what I would bring. If we bring a portable gaming console, we can share it with Cove. I think that's all we need. Let Kyra take your bag and gave her a grateful smile. With nothing left to do, you watched the others getting ready for the trip. Kyra and Cliff seemed to have the most energy of anyone. They were finishing packing the suitcases away while your moms had gone to lock up the house. They high-fived whenever another got crammed into the storage compartments of the vehicle. Even though your own parents were more low-key than Cove's, you could tell they were both excited for the trip. It had been a while since your family had been away anywhere together. Elizabeth skipped towards the RV, a bag slung over her shoulder, and you were surprised to see she seemed more optimistic about the whole ordeal now. Usually she wasn't one to exit the confines of her room unless it was for TV or food, or to leave her family behind to be with friends. You wouldn't have thought 3 whole days packed in an RV with 6 others would be too much for her. But it was a nice surprise. You supposed any vacation was better than no vacation in her mind. Hold on, I need another drink. Okay. Are we excited? I think we're excited for the trip. Everyone piled into the RV. It was officially time for the trip to start. And it did. Cliff took the first shift driving. He cautiously navigated the massive car out of the narrow neighborhood streets. It was a touch and go for the first part of the journey. Your moms and Kyra were all huddled at the front, trying to get a view of how much space they had on each side. There was a sense of relief when the first long leg of trips was hit, and the RV would only need to go down one stretch of highway for miles. The mom group cleared out of the driver's area, leaving Cove's dad to it, taking more comfortable seats around the main cabin. You felt like you could finally relax now too. Time slipped by as morning faded. Before you realized it, the engine of the RV came to a stop, but only halted for a few moments as Cliff climbed out from the driver's seat and Mom took over. Oh, there we go. Mom was sitting shotgun, giving Mom a quick tutorial of the controls as it was her first time driving anything as large. I'm not sure that I would let my neighbor drive an RV that I rented. I'm just saying. But maybe, especially if she's never done it before, I don't know if I would be comfortable with that personally. Cliff groaned as he headed towards the rest of you, stretching his arms above his head and loosening up his muscles. We're making good progress. Oh my gosh, guys. I need to blow my nose. I'll be right back. I really hope that my mic is like muting the way that I asked it to. Okay, maybe you should take a nap in the back for a while. That was a long haul you just did, and I know you're on less sleep than usual. Cliff waved a hand, that trademark grin of his slipping into place. I don't need sleep. I've still got a few miles in the old tank. He flexed an arm, showing off his muscles to drive the point about how resilient he was home. And Kyra rolled her eyes in amusement. Cove shook his head at the tough guy act, though Cliff simply chuckled and ruffled his son's hair.
So,
Are you going to be driving again anytime soon, Mr. Holden? I want to know so I can prepare. Did anyone pack some rope? I might need it. There's no seatbelts up here. Elizabeth called down from where she was lounging in the loft above the driving compartment. She was laying on her back, her hair falling over to one side and swinging around as the RV started up again and took off down the road. A bag of potato chips was balanced on Elizabeth's stomach, and she tossed a couple in her mouth right as Cliff held up his hand to his chest, pretending to be offended by the remark. Kyra laughed lightheartedly. Lucky for all of us, we have enough adults to cover the shifts today. He won't be driving again until tomorrow. So is he like a bad driver, I guess? Just enough time to write up my last will and testament? Not you too. The rest of the group laughed while Cliff pouted and you gave him an apologetic shrug. Mom then shouted back at her seat and to join the conversation, a playful smile tilting her lips. What I'm more worried about is this old monster getting us there and back again before falling apart. It looks as though it was built in the early 90s. It must be older than some of the occupants. That's just the aesthetic of the decor. It's not that old, I think. Did you ask what year the model was before you rented it? Kara wrinkled her nose and thought, yes, I did. I just can't remember what the answer was. I'm sure she asked, guys. I'm sure she wasn't lying. The RV lurched a little as it picked up speed, and you held onto the ladder of the loft to keep your balance. You felt something grazing the top of your head before a weight settled on your brown hair. You tilted your chin up carefully to look. You heard the rustling of the bag of chips and realized Elizabeth had rested it on the end of your head, or rested it on your head. She gestured to the opening, slightly offering to share her snack. Reaching up, you scooped up some chips after the weight of the packet left your scalp. You happily munched away as the conversation continued and you got closer to your destination. I'm not going to refuse food, I don't think ever. So of course we're going to take some chips. The day flew by and with the group of you chatting, playing games and passing the time together before finally arriving at the park and setting up for the night. Ma was closing the windows while everyone got ready for bed, saying goodnight to the others as she made her way to the back room. I can totally speak today. You had all had dinner together while still driving, and some hours after it had arrived at your destination and found a spot to park in for the rest of your stay. I'm sorry, I don't think that this is my fault in reading. I think it's just a run-on sentence. So it's a mouthful. Giving a look across the front of the RV, you noticed almost everyone there was already dozing off where they were, with Cove having completely fallen asleep curled up in the passenger seat. He must have done so while Kyra was driving the last leg, and they had decided not to disturb him. Kyra herself was the only one up there who was still awake, flipping through a magazine next to a portable light from her spot on the couch. It seemed Mr. Holden needed to sleep despite his claims. Okay, so we're sleeping with our moms.
That's fantastic.
I'm looking forward to the bushwalk in the morning. It's been a long time since I was out in nature like this. There will be plenty for us to see. You stayed awake for a little while longer. Your moms whispered about the park and the forest in general. With the sound of their voices in the background, eventually you nodded off to sleep. Man, she fell asleep quick. It takes me hours. The next morning, you were up bright and early, preparing for the day. I think we slept well. Ma whined a bit about the firmness of the mattress, but Mom had only encouraged her to enjoy the trip while she could. While looking for a spot to get ready, you had some trouble finding a space for your own, as the others were doing the same. Cove was perched on top of the counter, brushing his hair and tugging up his legs every time someone wanted to move past. The parents were checking, double-checking, and triple-checking that you had everything, to the point where you had to stop listening to them altogether. You knew you wouldn't be returning to the RV at all that day, but by the look of the backpacks they were packed up and ready to go, you doubted anything was missing from them. It didn't take much longer until you all exited the RV in a bustle and headed into the Redwood National Park. Cove had his head tilted up towards the canopy of trees, his eyes wide as he took in the massive trunks on either side of you. You knew that the redwood trees were considered the tallest trees on Earth, but you weren't prepared for exactly how huge they would be in person. Smile, you two. You spun just in time for Kyra to snap a picture of you and Cove together before she pointed her camera at Cliff, trying to get a shot despite his weak protest that she should just enjoy the moment. Your parents were walking behind the group a little, with Mom telling Ma some information she had read about the park in a brochure. Ma listened happily while looking around and taking in the sights, every now and then asking a question or making a joke about something Mom had said. You smiled at them, thinking your mom must have read a lot of pamphlets to know that much about the park. Maybe you should come and work here as a tour guide if you know so much about the place. Elizabeth teased, earning a squeeze on the nose from your mom. She seemed to be enjoying herself, but you thought that might just be because she was amused by everyone else's reactions. I think we're in awe of the redwood. I think that they'd be something to gaze at, you know? Hold on, I gotta get another drink. I don't know why my mouth is like this. Alrighty. The sheer size of the redwood made you feel like a tiny ant bustling along through the forest. The adults had decided on some casual nature walks rather than any serious hiking, and you strolled along at your own pace, taking in the scenery. Elizabeth sped up a little, smirking at Cove as she fell in place between the two of you, and immediately you could tell by her expression she was going to say something taunting. I can't believe our families are actually on vacation together. She threw her arms out, speaking with a genuine sense of bewilderment. I would have joked about something like this happening, but now I'm not sure I want to give any more ideas. Cove spared her a look, but said nothing, and instead continued walking along. Just watch. Next year, they'll be talking about their next new amazing idea. She put on a fake voice, deeper than her own. We should just sell both of our houses and move in together. Think of how much we'd save on the mortgage. It was clear that Elizabeth was being sarcastic. Cove simply shook his head, not really bothered by her. You supposed he was used to it by this point. Elizabeth gave you and Cove a look, her eyes glinting with mischief as she leered at you. Maybe one day we will be related, legally anyway. She said it as though she was a gossipy old lady. Maybe. I guess you and me could get married, Elizabeth.
What?
Oh my gosh. That way Bish would be my sister-in-law. That would be fun. Elizabeth stuck her tongue out at Cove as if the very idea were ridiculous. That was actually really smart of Cove. I'll marry you, Cove? No. I don't think we're gonna push it like that. I think we're a little embarrassed. Why did she always have to say things like that? It wasn't fun, and she knew it. After no further replies, your sister walked ahead. You and Cove swapped uncomfortable looks. The day continued on, with plenty to see the experience. You passed a few different activities that you would have liked to try out if you had the time, such as kayaking and rock climbing, but Ma said that you would have to wait for another trip. There was a little stream during the walk that you sat beside and set out a picnic for lunch. Oh, that would be so fun. Nibbling on the selection of fruit, sandwiches, and chips. Various birds flew by overhead, and you made a game out of guessing the species that were hanging out in the trees nearby. You even managed to get a couple of them right, including the kingfisher that grabbed half of Cliff's sandwich. Oh my gosh. You were glad you got to do this. You were disappointed to only have one day in the park. You thought the trip wasn't worth only one day here. You had more fun hanging out in the RV. Yeah, and had a good time with this trip. I think we're glad. I mean, we should be grateful. This is such a cool trip. It was definitely a special experience and one you'd remember for a long time to come. You smiled to yourself, committing the sights and sounds to memory. Your group made it back to the camp just as the sun was setting in the sky and the stars were appearing one by one. Everyone had enjoyed different parts of it most. You traded stories of what you thought while you were eating dinner. Then afterwards, you pitched in to help the cleanup. You, along with Elizabeth and Cove, got to head back to the RV early and spend some time together while the parents stayed outside longer. It was nice to have the space to yourselves after the cramped journey there, and while Elizabeth had locked herself in the back room with her headphones, you and Cove were left in the main lounge area. I think we should hang out with Cove. We might as well get comfortable. Who knows how long they'll be out there for. You took a seat on the sofa while Cove sat down on the other end, tapping his fingers against his knees. I hope you guys can hear me. That music is kind of loud. Okay. You know, I hardly ever see you wearing a jacket, especially in summer. I like wearing a few layers as possible. It's easier that way. Okay, Cove. That's what she said. That was a bad joke. Okay. I'd rather be cold than extra hot. It's kind of a pain to carry extra clothes around. My parents made me bring this jacket. I'm the same way. I would rather be freezing than sweating. Oh, we get to... I'm the same way. I've noticed. He's noticed that we don't like wearing layers. That's kind of sus, Cove. You asked him what he liked to see others wear. What does that mean? Let's ask it, because I don't know what that means. Hold on. Okay. Hey, what kinds of things do you think are nice to see on another person? Okay, that's so weird. Cove's eyes widened at the question, and his defensive reply seemed to slip out before he had the chance to have a proper think about it. Nothing! Oh my gosh. Oh, that's not what you meant. Are you sure? You composed yourself and sat up straighter, all traces of laughter disappearing from your face. Answer with what you do mean then. Is there anything at all that you think looks good when you see it on someone? Cove mumbled under his breath and he couldn't quite catch the words. He was having a difficult time with the subject. I swear I won't make fun of you. That seems like the best. That's not really it? What is it then? Cove seemed pretty grumpy about your statement, but you weren't ready to give up so easily. Oh my goodness, my reading skills are like in grade school right now. Okay. Cove sighed and looked down at his lap where he was fidgeting with his hands, still reluctant to give an answer. I don't know? Well, that makes me want to ask him more. I kind of like ankle bracelets. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I didn't see that coming, I'm gonna be honest. I thought maybe he would say like a dress or a jacket. I don't know. I didn't think of ankle bracelet. That's kind of odd. Everyone can wear a pretty bracelet. Wrist ones are cool too, but they're pretty normal. There's something fun or flirty about ankle bracelets? I mean, you're not wrong, but I feel like that's like a... I thought that was like a boomer mentality. Like if you wear an ankle bracelet, you're like a flirty person. I feel like... I don't remember the last time I seen someone wear an ankle bracelet. I think I was like... I remember I was in grade school and I had an ankle bracelet and I thought I was so cool for it. I wanted to wear it all the time, but I couldn't wear like any of my regular shoes with my ankle bracelet. So I eventually just stopped wearing it. But I thought I was so cool for it. So I guess I see where he's coming from. It's more special or something? Cove brushed his knuckles against his cheek awkwardly, seemingly unsure of where to go from here. So you think they're sexy? No, we're not gonna ask him that. He's a child. We'll just say I like them too. When he said nothing else, you took a moment to gather your own thoughts. You had to get an anklet ASAP. No. Thought about buying an anklet of your own. You were happy to hear more about COVID, but it really didn't change anything. I think this is... I know that we're supposed to pick one of these, but I think this is the safer option. Cove's opinions hadn't had an impact on your own thoughts on the accessory. Cove looked away again, feeling awkward about this. You gave him an understanding look, and soon enough he was smiling like normal again. Well, now you have to answer too. What do you like for another person? Blue eyes. We could be relatable and say our... I think we have blue eyes though, don't we, our character? I know I do. I like glasses. I think they're they can look really good on a person. We're gonna say glasses. Good luck, I hope you find someone. What? What's that supposed to mean? With that, the topic abruptly dropped off. Cove officially had no more to say on it. The parents all arrived soon after, each of them climbing into the RV and finding some place to sit down and rest their legs. Elizabeth, having heard it, the commotion, came from the room for the first time since arriving, and you all joined. You spent the evening chatting and playing a few games, enjoying the last evening of the trip together. Bedtime arrived within the blink of an eye as the group hunkered down for the night. Your mom did a final round to be sure nothing had been left behind. She explained that Cliff was going to start driving early in the morning, like on the first day, but would be letting everyone else in the group sleep. There wouldn't be a need for all of them to get up. Now was the time to check you hadn't left anything outside. You, as well as everyone else, were confident you had it all packed up. Your moms and Elizabeth had said goodnight, heading to the back room while you climbed up to the loft. Cove and his family got situated below in the previously set arrangement. You tried to get comfortable as a million thoughts were running through your mind. It was hard to believe that the trip was practically over, and before you knew it, you'd be back in your own bed at home. I think we enjoyed it. Why do they keep asking us if we enjoyed the trip? I think it's a good trip. It was a short, that was for sure, but you got to see and do so much during your time here. All in all, it was a nice break away from home. The minutes ticked by silently. It didn't take long for the soft snores of Cliff and Kyra to drift up to you. Oh, Kyra's a snorer. They were all asleep now. You wondered if Cove was still awake and decided to poke your head out from the loft to find out. You blinked through the dark. Looking down the hall, you noticed Cove lying on his back, his eyes staring straight at the ceiling. His seafoam hair was spread out on his sleeping bag. He must have felt you watching him because suddenly his eyes locked on yours. It was difficult to see much in the dim light, but you could make out the crooked smile on his face as well. We're gonna wave. Cove waved back, still smiling at you through the dim light. Should we have fun or call him over? I think we'll have a little fun. You buried yourself under the blanket and pulled out your cameras silently as possible. While hidden away in your own little spot, you spent you're not for sure how long getting some extra time to enjoy yourself. But at some point, your eyes grew heavy and you gently drifted off into a deep sleep. Oh, so we really didn't have fun. I thought we were gonna do something fun with Cove. When you woke up the next morning, it was to the rumble of the RV as it traveled the long journey home. Still blinking sleepily, you peeked over the edge of the loft to get a glimpse at what was happening. Cove was sitting with his mom on the couch, the two of them talking quietly. He must have noticed you moving around up there because Cove's ocean blue eyes snapped to yours and he gave you a smile. Morning, Bish. Good morning, Cove. Soon your moms and Elizabeth emerged from their room, dressed and ready for the day of travel. You spent most of the day hanging out together in the RV, savoring the last few hours of vacation. Kyra suggested a few different travel games she used to play with Cove when he was younger, and you all had a great time competing against each other. When the RV finally pulled up to your street, it was well into the night, and you were looking forward to crawling into your own bed after the last few days. Everyone else must have been feeling the same because it was mutually agreed that unpacking and cleaning the RV would wait until morning. Once home, you went straight for your room and dropped onto your bed, shoes and all. Ew. I would never wear my shoes in bed. I think we wish we would still be on the trip. It was too short. But I am the type of person who loves my own bed, so. With those last few thoughts drifting towards your mind, it wasn't long before you dozed off to sleep. Tomorrow, life would go on like normal. Okay, we finished it. The road trip. I am going to take a quick break, a quick bathroom break, since I've drank so much water. And yeah, we're gonna be right back. I'm gonna try this ad break thing just so that I know how to use it. So I'm gonna run that real quick and we'll be right back. Okay, I am back. Oh my goodness, where did my thing go? There we go. Okay, I don't know if that worked or not, but yeah, I'm not sure if that worked, but we'll see, I guess. Okay. What should we do next? Should we do family, growing, wave, dinner? I feel like I want to probably wait to do the growing to last. I feel like that's a good last one. Maybe we should do family. I think that would be fun. The sun warmed your skin from a place in the sky, and you closed your eyes, enjoying the mix of the heat with the pleasant breeze that drifted past you. You and Lee had spread out a blanket on top of one of the hills behind your house and had been relaxing there for a while. Us and Lee? Who's Lee? So we're having a little picnic. Lee talked about the musical she had gotten to see a few days. Oh, Lee is our cousin, right? That's our cousin, I think. Our best friend. Yes, Lee. Okay. I don't know why I thought her name was like Leia or something. It was unbelievable. There was singing, dancing, and crazy stunts, and it was all done live right in front of my face. Maybe one day we could go together. I've got to see more shows like that. You smiled at Lee's enthusiasm, knowing how much she enjoyed singing and performing. And she was good at it too. You had gotten the chance to hear her sing a couple of tunes, and you knew she put a lot of effort into it. You also like to sing, but you weren't very good. That's me. You also like to sing and a talent of your own. No. You didn't like to sing, but you had been told you were good at it. You weren't good at singing, and that suited you fine. We're not good. And that's fine. It's fine not to be a good singer. Yeah, guys, if you didn't know, I'm not gonna be a VTuber that sings all the time. I'm not good at singing. It wasn't something that you were interested in doing anyway. I think I should mention that I was in chorus, like a singing group in school, and I lip synced through most of it because I was so terrified of performing. The only reason I got involved in the singing group was because all my friends were in it, and or at least most of them, and I wanted to hang out with them. So even though I was a part of a singing group, and I do have a little bit of singing lessons, I never performed like professionally or in a contest or anything like that that was offered. I would never perform in any of those. Okay, I just had to get that off my chest for some reason. Anyway, I wonder if maybe we could put on our own show. Oh, that would be fun. We could perform for our parents and ask our friends and some other people to come watch too. It'd totally work. I don't know about that. We're not very good. But wouldn't showing off to everybody be fun? I think showing off is fine. But if we're not good at singing, it's gonna be a bit embarrassing. The thought of an audience made you feel queasy. Are you really super sure? You have so many skills you could show off to the masses. Should we do it just for the content? It's official, guys. I have a streamer mentality now. Should we do it for the content? Or would we rather do something else to stick with our character? Decisions. I think we'd do something else. The two of you lay back on the blanket and lazed in the sun, throwing ideas back and forth on what you could fill your time with. The beach was nearby, so you could go swimming or collect shells or find something to do back home after all. In the end, nothing was tempting enough. Oh, so we literally had nothing else to do. So how are your neighbors doing? You knew Lee wasn't talking about neighbors generally or down the street. She wanted to hear about the Holdens across the road. It was no secret that she liked to keep up to date on what was happening with them, or more specifically, Cove. There weren't many other people your age around to talk about. They're okay. Lee loved to chat about others' relationships and would always ask you for the details on people. Did you want to see if Cove would join the picnic? He's busy this afternoon, or I like it being just us sometimes. Well, we don't know he's busy. I like it being just us. Yeah, we're the best. The sun slowly began to set, the sky turning a rosy pink and then warm orange. It's too bad Derek isn't in the neighborhood today. I like him. I don't remember who Derek was. Oh, he was the little kid, right? He was like the little new kid in town. Yeah, he's a good person. I think that's nice to say. So exactly how much do you like him? Or maybe there's someone else that I haven't heard of yet? Lee wriggled her brows at you suggestively, and you knew exactly what she was implying. I think there's nobody that I like right now, right? Cove and I are friends, and then Derek is kind of a friend, right? You promised to tell me if that changes, right? Maybe. Oh, she just booed us. Wow. You knew her whining wasn't serious. That's just how she was. Speaking of crushes, there is one boy I think is pretty cute. You leaned back on your elbows and listened as Lee talked about her crush, all in great detail. It was nice to have her telling you a little gossip for once, rather than always trying to get it out of you. Finally, you both decided to pack everything up and head back home for the evening. Upon walking through the front door, you were met by your moms and Elizabeth hovering around each other in the living room. Oh, why do they look so disappointed? Tension hung thick in the air as the three of them turned to you and Lee frowning slightly. You had interrupted something. Exactly what? You weren't sure. Wow, who died? Okay. That's a bit much. What's going on? You looked between them but said nothing. Hello. The room fell quiet again, with no one quite knowing what to say. You felt incredibly awkward, but the silence didn't last long. You don't have to stop just because these two are here. There's no reason to keep it a secret. Elizabeth was mad, with her arms folded defensively over her chest, but your moms nodded in agreement with her. Elizabeth was asking about her parents. Her biological ones. The world spun around you at the news. You couldn't understand why this was happening now. When you glanced at Lee, she shuffled her feet uncomfortably, as though she didn't know if she should be there or not anymore. You didn't know either. Your moms had always been open and honest about the fact that neither of them had given birth to you or your sister, but the details hadn't been fully explained before. It made sense that Elizabeth didn't know a lot about her biological parents and wanted to know more. You just hadn't never thought you'd actually stumble into it. Elizabeth looked at your parents expectantly. She wasn't going to let the unintentional interruption derail things. We didn't want to keep that information from you, either of you. It's your right to know your past, but we did want to wait until you asked us to hear for yourselves. Your mom shared a nervous glance, and Ma took in a quick breath before speaking again. I adopted you from the Philippines when you were just a baby. Elizabeth dropped her arms, her eyebrows shooting up in surprise. I wasn't born here? No, you weren't. You could clearly see that your sister was appalled by this information. You struggled even more with what to do or how to react. Am I going to have to pass some test to even be a citizen? No, you were adopted into the country. We took care of things. You're already a citizen. You have nothing to worry about. I followed all the laws when it came to bringing a child into the U.S. Nothing can be held against you. Elizabeth sighed, placated with the information, but still far from happy. Who were my parents, as people? Why did they put me up for adoption? This is getting heavy, guys. This is some heavy stuff we're discussing. Ma softly put her hands over Elizabeth's shoulder, trying to provide some support before she gave her the answer. I'm so sorry, sweetie. Your parents were reported to have died. They didn't go into details on specifics of how, but you were an orphan. Elizabeth was torn between emotions, her eyes filled with tears as she threw her hands in the air, settling on enraged. Great, so I can never meet them, even if I wanted to. Not that I could have anyways, since they lived in another part of the world when they were still alive. Elizabeth turned her back on you and your mom's and stormed off, sprinting up the stairs to her room before anyone could stop her. I have to go and talk to her. Ma immediately started to follow, but Mom gently held her arm by the end and shook her head. We should give her a little space. Yeah, I think she needs some space to process. Your mom's head hung low, but she stopped walking. With Elizabeth now gone, the two of them seemed to remember you and Lee were still standing awkwardly off to the side. I'm sorry you had to see all that. It's not how I expected it would have happened when it came time. But since it's the topic of the day, Bish, is there anything you'd like to ask? You deserve to know. I want to know. I can leave if you want to have things be private. We want her here, right? I mean, she is a gossip, but she's our cousin and our best friend. I think we would want her here. We shifted a little closer to you in support, and you were glad to have her there with you. It made it feel a little stronger somehow. You turned to face your parents again, preparing yourself for what they were about to tell you. Ma was the first to speak, her voice quivering with emotion. You were adopted as a baby, but 2 years after Elizabeth. We used a different organization at the time, and you were adopted within the U.S. We're sorry to tell you, Bish, your parents had also passed away, and no other family member took you in, if there were any. That's why we wanted to wait until you asked. We didn't want to suddenly drop that in your lap. We wanted you to be prepared. That's sweet. Lee gave you a reassuring squeeze on the arm to show that she was there for you. It's not your fault you didn't kill them? Oh my gosh. I mean, I get why we would say that, but I think that's a little unnecessary right now. I don't think we're angry or upset. Thank you for telling me. If there's anything else you want to know, all you have to do is ask. We'll do our best to answer any questions you have. How are you feeling? Lee watched you closely as though judging how exactly she should react to what was going on. I feel fine. As though you had a load off. Your mom smiled sadly. No one seemed to have any words after that. I find it hard to believe people when they say that they feel fine. I don't know. You wanted to get out of the house. I think that's... Mom's nodded. Without knowing you were really wanted to go, you began to walk down the street quietly, dragging your feet. Lee's footsteps echoed on the pavement behind you, and she caught up. You turned and kept walking, unsure of what else to do. Everyone else had been so upset, and you didn't have the first idea on how you could help. Eventually, you found yourself at the beach, your feet sinking into the soft sand while you looked out over the ocean. You took off your shoes and paced the sand over the water's edge, letting the cool ocean swirl around your bare feet. It was comforting being there with the ocean breeze rustling your brown hair and the smell of salty water filling your nostrils. Eventually, you took a seat down on the ground, watching the sun as it dipped down further and further towards the horizon, before it disappeared completely. Your cousin stalwartly? I don't think I've ever heard that word. Stalwartly. Wow. Okay. Kept you company without trying to force you into speaking. The sky shifted from the blue to pink and to orange and then the deep blue of the night. A sudden shout drew your attention away from the sea. Someone was calling your name. It was Cove. What was he doing here? His eyes settled on you ahead, realizing you were in fact there. He rushed down the shore to where you sat. You could tell him he was sort of out of breath as he approached. You rose to meet him. Cove, did something happen? No, not to me anyway. I wanted to know what happening to you. I went to your house to say hi, but your parents said you were gone, that you needed to get away. I mean, I had to think something was going on after something like that, so I came to find you. Lee gave him a smile, but a supportive hand on your shoulder as you now had to try and explain this to someone. My parents are dead? No, we thank them for coming. My mom and dad who gave birth to me, they're dead. Without having to say something else, Cove reached out, placed a hand on your shoulder. He brought his face in towards you. I'm sorry. His words whispered comfortingly. I think we should give him a hug. He ran all this way for us. You stepped forward and slipped your arms around him, needing the reassurance. Can you explain everything? You nodded softly, taking in a heavy breath and launching into the story. Cove sat quietly and listened attentively, nodding every now and then or taking a sharp inhale. It took a long time for you to relay the details. Dozens of stars were pinpointed in the sky as the night wore on. Silence settled between you as Cove sat quietly for a moment, contemplating everything you had said. Finally, when he spoke, his voice was quiet, drifting through the night towards you. Bish. I'll never be able to take that seriously. I probably should have picked a different name.
I'm so sorry.
I'm really sorry about what happened. He stopped suddenly and took in a deep, shaky breath, and you got the impression he was struggling with what he was right to say. Shrugged our shoulders. We don't have to know how we feel all the time. You're not doing anything wrong, you know that, right? I think that you can be as sad as you want for as long as you need, or you can feel okay about it whenever you want to. He sighed and ran a hand through his hair as he looked over the ocean. I guess what I'm trying to say is, whatever you feel about it is how you feel about it. You don't have to force yourself to be different. You nodded. Cove smiled at you a little, and you could tell he was trying to be comforting. And your moms definitely don't. It doesn't matter if you're not blood related. You're definitely family. I can see that, and I hope you can too. Of course she's family. It's their kid. Your cousin tried not to interrupt your explanation or Cove's response to it. When the opportunity arose, she made it clear she shared the same sentiment. The sudden voice of your sister behind you made you jump. You saw her standing a little way away. She walked closer and you didn't quite know what to do or what she was planning on saying.
So,
Would you mind going? I want to just talk to Bish. You can come back. It's not going to be forever or anything. Cove seemed equal parts concerned and skeptical. Leaving now wasn't a concept that thrilled him. Lee wasn't exactly jumping to go, so she checked with you quietly. If she wanted to talk to you in private, it was obvious about something important. You waited until the two of you were alone before fixing her with an inquisitive look. Elizabeth folded her arms, looking you over. Did moms tell you about your parents too?
sorry.
Why did you want to talk to me? Elizabeth raised an eyebrow at the question as though the answer should be obvious. I was worried about you. I was the one who brought it up, but I made you deal with whatever was left when I was gone. Yeah, she kind of did. She sighed, glancing upwards for a moment before settling on you once more. I wanted to ask you what happened without everyone breathing down our necks. I'm not mad at you. She stuck up her nose a little at that. Her smile was soft. I'm okay, Elizabeth. It didn't upset me. How are you allowed to be that mature? Because we are mature. The lightning spirits in her were quickly gone as she slid back into the scowl. You have to be born in the US to become president. You never heard of that dream of hers before. She noticed your bafflement and continued. I get I was never going to be president, but it just feels weird. Having stuff taken away, not even get the chance at it. I mean, yeah, I get that. I don't like having to know that when I was born, I was going to have a completely different life. So different I can't even think about what it looked like in my head. I could have spoken another language, lived away from everything I've ever seen here, had someone else as my sibling. And then my parents died, and I was adopted, and the life I got became a totally new thing forever. I can't go back to what it was, even if I wanted to. You knew exactly how she felt. It was a confusing feeling to have lived one way for as long as you can remember, but not having it be what it was originally yours. Elizabeth watched you seriously. She was still trying to make sense of this to you. Sorry, I was fixing my chair. I don't know why today was the day. Nothing came up to make me ask the question. It was just something I've had in my head for a while. When it was just me and Mom's in the living room, I just kind of said it, finally, and there you go. Learning about them and what happened doesn't change how I feel about our family. I already figured out a long time ago that Moms weren't our biological parents. That wasn't news. Why would we say that? Technically, one of them could have been related to you. I guess because one of them could have birthed them. I don't know. Oh, hi, Ember. Nice to see you. I'm glad you could make it. We're in a really heavy topic right now about adoption and biological parents. So, yeah, that's what we're discussing now. Hello. Aw, thank you for coming. It really doesn't change anything. I think we should ask that. Nothing about the family I was born into would have made me decide that this wasn't my family anymore. If you had hoped you'd be free of my big sisterly status, don't think you're so lucky. She bumped her shoulders against yours playfully, her lips tilted at the corners.
You'll always be my little sister.
Aw. I think we joke with her. Ready to head back home?
Come on.
You walked home together in a comfortable silence down the well-worn street. The familiarity of it felt so nice. When you stepped through the door, you found your moms quietly sitting together at the kitchen table. Hydrate. Oh, okay. Okay, hold on, I'll take a drink. Thank you for the reminder. Maybe I should make that one of my little channel points things. Thank you, thank you. Oh my gosh, is that your new emote? That looks so good. That looks so cool. I didn't know you got emotes. Anyway. Okay, we're back at our parents' house. Everything is alright. Ma then came over and wrapped her arms around you and Elizabeth, giving you a tight hug. It didn't take long for Mom to join in, putting her arms around the both of you. We really couldn't have asked for better kiddos. You were so glad that your moms were alright. You're smushing me. I bought them months ago, but you know I had to get my DVD inspired ones. Oh yeah, well they look great. Yeah, you'll have to send me your artist. DM me on Twitter or something. I want to look into them. It looks really cool. You all chuckled, the rumble of laughter shaking you all as you continued to hold each other tight. Aww, Elizabeth's really sappy this episode. They both pulled back eventually and grinned at the two of you, and you knew that you all had each other and you always would. So we're gonna do something as a family. Oh, Cove and Lee are with us. You hid the smile that threatened to tilt your lips, knowing that Elizabeth must have been in a good mood if she hadn't even teased Cove for being part of it. No matter what she could have said about it, you wanted him to be here. The two of you had practically grown up together for over the past 5 years. Who's got a suggestion? Put in a movie. Okay, we're all gonna watch a movie. We'll watch a movie. Oh, we're gonna get popcorn. What do y'all like in your popcorn? I know some people have like M&Ms and candy in their popcorn. Or like sprinkle powdered butter and cheese and stuff. Your mom headed off to the kitchen and Ma turned to face the rest of you. I'll watch anything but drama. Okay. I'd prefer to watch horror. Do we want to watch a horror movie? Just caramel for me, I'm simple. I don't think I've ever had caramel on popcorn. I should really try that. I think we should watch horror movie, right? Yes, horror would be great. Of course we want horror, yes, definitely. Okay, everybody likes horror movies. You didn't notice that Elizabeth was sidling up to you until she was right next to you, arm in arm. Aw. What sort of question is that? That's right. Of course it's good. Well, I mean, I love my rom-coms too. I think they're fun. As long as rom-coms are more focused on the comedy aspect of it, I think it could be a good movie. Since there's only so much room on the couch, I say it should go to Bish and I. This is our day. Okay, Elizabeth, you're a bit full of yourself. Wait, I want to sit with you too. I'm small. Some rom-coms are good for sure. Yeah, I'm trying to think of ones that I've watched. I don't know, Fruits Basket was pretty good. Is that considered a rom-com? That was a pretty good show. Elizabeth raised a skeptical eyebrow, not so sure about that. I want to sit with the cool kids too. Everybody wants to sit on the couch. How are we gonna fit? I bet you want to sit here too, huh, Cove? You felt shy or being made the center of attention? That would probably be me. I want Cove to sit next to me? That's a bit bold. I don't need to sit on the couch. We'll offer it to somebody else. Mom came back to a big bowl of fresh popcorn and you inhaled the smell of the hot, salted snack. Okay. What's the skinny? What in the world does that mean? Is that like some old saying for like, what's happening? We all wanted to sit with Elizabeth and Bish, but there's not enough room on the couch. It's definitely a problem. I suppose there's only one solution. Elizabeth and Bish will have to sit on the floor in front of the couch. That way there's spots behind them and the floor at their sides. The whole point was getting our couch to ourselves. Well, that's the cost of popularity? Okay, Mom. There was a mad dash as Mom and Lee raced for the couch behind you, and Elizabeth and Ma put the DVD in the player before joining them. Cove took a seat at your other side of the floor, giving you a smile. See, Cove sat with us without us even having to say anything. That's some pro gamer mentality right there. Oh, we're already finished. Okay. I think we should do Wave, right? That would be super fun. Let me get a quick drink real quick, though. Alright, we are hydrated. Let us go for Wave. That sounds fun. The family's shopping trip had lasted most of the morning, and you still had to unload everything from the trunk before you could go enjoy the afternoon. You cradled another bag in your arms as you headed towards your house. Personally, I'm a one and done sort of deal. I will make sure that all the groceries go up in one go, if I can manage it. It was one of the heavier bags from the grocery store, loaded with fresh apples, ripe tomatoes, a bunch of carrots, and even half a watermelon. That is a lot in one bag. Ma came out the front door and pushed just ahead of you. Need any help? Yes, please. Ma stepped forward, took it back from your arms, and you headed back to grab a new one. You set the bag on the counter. Your older sister began to root around inside for the contents with a sigh. How much is left? Still a few more bags. With a huff and puff, Elizabeth continued putting away the groceries, and you retreated out of the kitchen before you could become the target of her bad mood. You had been looking where you were going and bumped right into Mom, almost stepping on her toes. I can give you a pass this time, but be sure to watch where you're going. If you run into the wrong person, you might get your license revoked. What kind of license are we getting revoked? She grinned at the bad joke as you continued through the door. Okay. Outside, Ma had started organizing what remained and putting back any loose objects that had fallen out during the trip. I have to say, they are writing these parent characters pretty well, because I feel like a kid when I'm reading them. Like reading their jokes and stuff. It's like, oh, okay, thanks, Mom. When you stepped up to the trunk beside her, she took in a big breath of air, her dress gently swaying around in the breeze. It's a shame we had to spend the morning cooped up in the shopping center. I like it when it's stormy. I think we should just agree to her, right? But I do like when it's raining. Oh, Cove came over. Let me see. Surfboard and wetsuit. Where might you be off to? Cove flinched at being called to us so suddenly. He hadn't realized there were people out here already. That's me with my neighbors whenever they try to talk to me. I'm in Cove's position right now. Okay. Good one, Mrs. Bish. He crossed the pavement to properly say hello to you and your moms. Hello, honey. It's a beautiful day for surfing. I haven't been out on the waves in a long time. I have personally never been surfing. Ever. I don't know if I have the balance for it anymore. Cove smiled, pleased to have people around who share his hobby. Do you want to come hang out later, Bish? Heck yeah, we want to do that. I'll meet you there when we're done. Okay. You watched as Cove headed off towards the beach, unable to hide your grin, knowing that you'd be joining him soon. Once everything had finally been taken in and put away, you got yourself ready to meet Cove at the beach. You weren't sure what you were going to do. He was surfing and you didn't know how. Yeah, I think that's us. We'll just have to go there and see what happens. He's hoping we'll watch him so he could show off. Aw, that's how our moms. You noticed what I was doing? Oh, she was showing off for her. That's cute. It's not a very subtle move. How embarrassing. What are you still doing here? Go and have your fun. Don't do anything I wouldn't have. I don't think I know my mom well enough to know what she wouldn't have done. By your parents prodding, you hurried to leave the house and head down to the beach. When you arrived at the shore, you were greeted by the crash of waves and the soft calls of seagulls. You took in a lungful of air, ocean air, and felt your peachy skin warm in the sun. You noticed a small setup nearby with a towel, some sunscreen, and a bottle of water. It must be Cove's. You spotted Cove himself nearby. He hadn't gone out to sea yet. He was just sitting in the sand at the water's edge, his board propped up against him. He looked up at you with a smile and quickly hopped to his feet. I was wondering if you were still coming. Then he cast his eyes out toward the waves. What am I supposed to do while you surf?
Don't worry about it.
I'll stay with you on the shore. Wait, he could teach us? I want to learn how to surf. Wanted to try surfing. We're not gonna make him hang out on the beach with us when he planned on surfing. That's just rude. You paddled out into the sea where the waves were good and the water was still cool against your skin. Not too calm, but nothing crazy. It looks perfect today. Have you guys seen those crazy videos where people are like surfing? Or did you see the one where the hurricane was going through Florida and there was somebody out there surfing and he made it through the waves? It was crazy. Florida people are crazy. And I should know. I know people from Florida. They're all crazy. Until Cove kicked the water a little too hard and inadvertently splashed you. The apology did not come across as especially repentant, as he was practically laughing when he said it. Splash him back. Is that the way to treat someone trying to help you? Yes. Yes, it is. Cove tried to keep a straight face, but ended up looking away. The water you flicked at him landed in shiny droplets on his hair. Then here's another lesson. Now we're just in a water fight. We're supposed to be learning how to surf. Oh, he about knocked us off our board, I guess. He chuckled awkwardly and shook some water out of his ear. With that, Cove started telling you all the tips and tricks of how to stay on a surfboard. He demonstrated both good and bad posture and explained where you need to put your weight. You wiggled your body so that you were more in the center of your board. The lesson continued and... you kind of struggled. Should we be a natural talent because we're pro gamers? I think so. Since you'd spent so much time working on balance in stable water, you wondered when you'd actually get to catch some waves. You brought it up to Cove and he nodded. If you think you're ready, go for it. You'll do great. With that, you graduated from Cove's class and the two of you were able to surf together more casually, even if he was still better at it. The sun setting was visible on the horizon. Every time you would look away, it had sunk a little lower. The beach was darkening, but still pleasantly warm. You knew you should get out of the water before it was completely dark in the sea. You rode one last wave to get back to the beach, where you picked up your surfboard and gave a quick once-over. Cove followed behind you to the shore. He put his board with his other things and grabbed his towel to start driving off. As he ruffled his hair with his towel, you watched the sunset together. The colors were beautiful in the distance and the shadows around you deepened. There was no need for words between you as you both enjoyed the sight for a moment. The waves were good today, I think. Yeah, totally. You chatted a little more until the conversation truly died out and all you heard was the rhythmic sound of waves. The day can't be over, not yet. He scowled into the distance as if the sun exiting the sky was a personal offense. Don't you think it should be longer? Cove stood up straight in defiance of the approaching darkness. I'm not going home yet. I want to go somewhere. Cove was still dripping in salt water, so you weren't sure what the alternative was. Wetsuits were fine for the beach, but not much else. It wasn't a good idea for him to lug his surfboard around town either. You'll be really cute in the wetsuit. I need to call it a night. Yeah, I want to do something too. Then you look down the shore with wide, shining eyes. There's at least one place it's always okay to hang out in, no matter what time it is. The park. You nodded. The park was virtually always empty. Even Elizabeth only went there nowadays if she was looking for you. How times have changed. She used to be so protective of the place. In fact, the only person there was a chance of running into might be the Jeremy kid again. He brought the idea up to Cove and he's cringed. I'm still going. The sun is still there, a little. I'm staying out as long as it is. I think we should tag along, right? It'd be boring if we just went home. Cove took a minute to put on his stuff in order. He made sure to get it all, though it didn't take much care to shake the sand off. You dealt with your own things. He stuffed everything quickly. He rolled his eyes with a bent smile at the announcement. As a final touch, Cove plucked his glasses off the beach and put them back on his face. He looked more like himself now. He led the way down the beach to the park. It wasn't so far and didn't take you long at all. The sun still hadn't completely disappeared just yet when you made your arrival. Cove stuck his surfboard upright in the sand and tossed his towel over top. By now, the two of you were mostly dry. The summer breeze on your skin kept you pleasantly warm. Cove idly went over to the monkey bars, grabbed them, feet flat on the ground, and pretended to go across. He had definitely grown in the past few years. You were still short enough to use the monkey bars yourself. Sometimes being tiny had its perks. When he got to a bar in the middle, Cove pulled himself up and through, then sat on the top of the bars. His legs dangled off the side of the bar he perched on. We'll take a seat. You sat right down on the free seat and started swinging your legs, first slowly, but then you added more power to your kicks, air rushing past your face and ruffle your hair. You built up enough momentum to let it carry you. It was a lazy arc, not high or fast, perfect for having a conversation. He smiled broadly and raised an eyebrow. He's not here. Right, it was true. There was not a single sign of Jeremy. Looks like it was just going to be the two of you. Cove hung his head and groaned dramatically. Your eyes widened and he whipped his head back. I can't believe how dumb my parents are for forcing me to come to this stupid place. You were taken aback and blinked for a second before you realized he was quoting Jeremy. I think we should play along. You looked around, the old park, the streets you knew like the back of your hand, the beach. These were your stomping grounds. You wondered how Cove actually felt, how much was a joke and just a joke, and how much was sincere dislike of this place. Moving had never been his choice. Cove kicked his legs carelessly as they dangled. I like it here, I really do. It's a nice place. He didn't hesitate. There was no uncertainty, and that was his genuine opinion. Aw, you're the best thing in the neighborhood. That's sweet. I think we should say that. That's sweet. It didn't take long for the day to finally draw to a close. The sun was gone and it was dark. You chatted a while longer, but it was definitely winding down. We better get home. I wish days were longer. Wish this day was longer. Aw. Cove sighed. It was time to go home. He hopped down from the monkey bars, and with a thump, his feet hit the ground. You stopped moving your legs and stood when the swing slowed down. The chains rattling and the swing smacked you a little bit, its energy not entirely spent. Cove grabbed his surfboard and threw his towel around his neck. With his water bottle in hand, he was ready. You both began your trek up the road. It was quiet night, and you didn't run into anything else. In what felt like no time at all, you had reached your street. As you walked around, Cove smiled to himself. It was a comfy expression, and you couldn't help but wonder what put it there. Everything okay? I just remember when we were younger, it used to be such a big deal to come home after dark. You could indeed recall. If you got sandy, your parents would have something to say. If you got wet, your parents would have more to say. And if you came home after dark, well, your moms and his dad better have said it was okay beforehand. You used to need permission for everything. That small comment he made exposed just how much freedom you really had this summer. Cove looked up into the sky, a smile still on his face as the two of you walked side by side, reminiscing. When you came to your houses, you turned to each other. Thanks for today. Thanks for an awesome day. Cove waved and you both turned around to your respective houses. This was a pleasant end to the outing, you thought. That was fun. That was a good time. I think we should do dinner first, right? Okay. Let me find my blanket real quick. Where's it at? Where's my blanket? Here we go. I found it. Okay. I have to go to the bathroom again. Because I'm staying hydrated today. So I'm gonna run another quick ad real quick. Because I want to see how they work. I'm not really sure how to use them. So I'll be right back. Oh, my mic was off. I made it. Okay. I made it back in time. I got my little blanket on and we are ready to move on with dinner. I hope this doesn't make me hungry. Sunlight shone through the windows as you sat in your living room, your home phone pressed to your ear, Cove on the other end. It's been shaping up to be an ordinary day like any other, until Cove had called unexpectedly. He sounded unusually nervous greeting you. You listened silently as he kept talking, his words stilted. Oh, thank you for the follow, Kai. Is it Kai Shoji? Sorry if I just butchered that. Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. We are picking up with our dinner chapter. Oh, Cove is with us. Do you want to come over to my house for dinner? Yes, that's right. Oh, I'm glad I pronounced it right then. I'm having trouble reading today. The question came out strangely, almost like he's rehearsed it a few times beforehand. Your eyes widened a little. You hadn't expected this to be the reason behind the call. I'll go. This is the best free visual novel on Steam. Is it really? I'm glad I have good taste then. I was thinking about doing another visual novel. I don't remember what it's called. I'd have to look it up on Steam. Here, I'll look it up real quick. I don't know if you've played it or not. It's called... Oh, that's the wrong one. It is called... Oh, it's the Doki Doki Literature Club. I heard that's really good. I wanted to do that someday. But if this is the best one, then why not? I'm glad you could make it though. Okay. It's only second in reviews to Doki Doki Literature, but I think it's because it has a shock factor in memes. Oh, maybe, yeah. Yeah, I heard it's really good. And I think there's a... Is there a show or a manga based off of the Doki Doki Literature Club one? And then I get 6 ads. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I have my ads on manual, and I only ran a 3-minute one. I don't know. I thought I turned them off. I'm new at being affiliate if you can't tell, so I might have messed up somewhere. But I try not to have ads when people come in. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Hold on. I just messed it up. There we go. Oh, I don't know if that fixed it or not. Okay. Sorry about all the ads. I didn't know it was doing that. Okay, anyway. It seems that Cove still had more to say, and you just interrupted him. Oh, well, I didn't mean to interrupt him. He stumbled for a bit, trying to gather his thoughts. My mom and dad, they really want you to be there if your parents don't have a problem with it. They asked me to ask you. Why can't he just say he wants us there? Dinner at home would be quiet and uneventful today. If you really wanted to, you could go to Cove's instead. Cove spoke up again, breaking your train of thought. His voice was softer than before. Also, I want you to be there too. Aw, that's all he had to say. We'll come. Yes, of course, yeah. I'll have to ask my mom to get back to you. No, we'll just say... Why am I the only one invited? Why does it matter? I invited my friends over for dinner all the time. Yeah, okay. He sounded noticeably relieved by your response. Was you coming over for a dinner today that serious? He spoke to you for a little while longer to explain what time to come over and other details, and then he hung up. And that was that. Soon enough, the sun dipped out of the sky and evening came. It was time for you to head to Cove's. After letting Elizabeth know you were leaving, she didn't look away from the TV, just grunted. You made the small journey across the street. You knocked a couple of times on the heavy door to their condo. As you waited for an answer, you found yourself contemplating being guests while both of Cove's parents were there. Made you curious. You wondered why they decided to invite you out of the blue. Maybe you'd find out later tonight. You didn't get too much time with your thoughts, though. The door opened soon enough. Cove's mom, Kyra, stood in the frame, smiling warmly at you. She opened the door wider and moved to make room. You stepped inside, allowing her to shut it behind you. Thanks so much for coming over. I know it was kind of last second. Thank you for having me. Of course, just make yourself at home. It's not my home, but I've been given permission to say that. You jerked your head towards the sound of Mr. Holden's voice. I thought she was calling him a jerk for a minute. He waved at you briefly from the kitchen, his back turned and a large spoon in hand. Ads done. Anyway, I found out you can actually completely skip this moment by just telling Cove no when he asks. Oh my gosh, that would be so rude. I don't want to skip the moments. They're good. They're good little hints of relationship building and character building. That would be kind of weird though, to just, you're like, oh yeah, I'll do the dinner moment, and then you just say no. Hope you're hungry because I'm whipping up a lot of tasty stuff. Also, sorry about the ads. I turned them off and then I ran a 3-minute one while I was in the bathroom, but they should be turned off for like pre-roll ads and things like that. I don't know. I'm new at affiliate, so I may have not done it right. I'm still learning. Hope you're hungry because I'm whipping up a lot of tasty stuff. True to his word, you heard something sizzling on the stove. You closed your eyes and inhaled. It smelled spicy and savory. With Mr. Holden busy and Cove nowhere to be seen, it was just you and Kyra. She gave you a wry smile. The best experience is to have all the DLC and use the voice name pack. I seen that very briefly, but I didn't really know what it was, so I didn't purchase it. I didn't know what it was. He sure is. While I've been barred from cooking the entire time, I'm staying here. Can you believe that? She nudged you with an elbow. Mr. Holden scoffed good-naturedly, then spoke from over his shoulder. You're on vacation, Kyra. You need to accept that already. She yelled back, amusement obvious on her face and in her tone. People still cook when they're on vacation. Everyone's gotta eat. I don't even cook on a daily basis, let alone when I'm on vacation. The voice name pack is free and enables you to pick from a big list of first names, and Cove will say your name in the story. Oh, okay. That would be fun. I didn't know that. I think it came out recently, right? The DLC. I saw on my Steam that it had an update of the DLC. Our name is Bish Bish. I'd want him to say that for sure. It's been around for a while. Oh, well maybe I don't know what the update was then. I saw an update about a week and a half ago or so. It kind of sucks that you have to pick a name though, because I want to hear him say Bish Bish. Hello, Bish. The new DLC is for a separate route where you can spend extra time with Derek. Oh, I don't have a big interest with Derek. We haven't seen him hardly at all. We've seen him once in this whole story so far. But I mean, I think we're in middle school right now, so we still have time to spend with Derek. Sorry about that, Bish. Here I was trying to strike up conversation with you and Cliff. He shows up more in the Step 2 DLC. Oh, okay. Maybe he's like... Maybe he is a more fun character, and I just didn't pick that up with the small time I had with him. That's the bottom row in the moment select. Yes, I did see that part. I just don't know. I didn't know what all it included. She eyed him, chuckling in disbelief. He wasn't exactly disapproving her point with that. Kyra leaned over to whisper to you. It's okay. He likes to be included, but since Clifford is insisted on cooking all by himself, he'll have to wait. 2 of us can chat. Her next question continued to be said in the hushed tone, just to be safe. So how are you doing? I'm doing good. She opened her mouth to say something more, but something lightly pounding footsteps caught your attention. You checked to see Cove emerge from the hall a few moments later. He might have heard all the commotion and left his room to see what was going on. He quickly took shock of the situation. Bish, you made it! Yes, we did. Cove's voice was unnaturally loud, as if he thought you wouldn't be able to hear him from where you were, only a few feet away. I'm fine. He didn't sound convincing at all. You narrowed your eyes suspiciously, but didn't call him out on it. If you could talk to him alone tonight, maybe you'd ask him what was going on. It was then you glanced away from Cove that you spotted his parents watching the two of you interact. Cove noticed their stares too, meeting them with narrowed eyes. Are we having dinner now? Oh, something's cooking. And it's not just the dinner. Something is cooking, and we're a part of it. Alright, I'm gonna go back to my room. As you turned to leave, he bent his head towards the face you. You coming? The question was quiet, but you heard it clearly. You smiled, pleased that he asked, and nodded an affirmative. Cove turned fully and made his way down the hall. Have fun, you two. We'll call you when food's ready to go. With that, you followed after Cove. The two of you made your way down the hall. This is our first time seeing Cove's room, I believe. Each of the Step 1, 2, and 3 DLCs add 5 extra moments to their respective steps in the story, and then the Wedding Story DLC adds an extension of the ending if you choose to marry Cove at the end. Oh wow, okay. Do I have to, but the game doesn't do a good job explaining that? Yeah, I didn't get that at all when I was looking at playing the game. So I'm not sure how the DLCs work, but in order to download the DLCs, do I have to restart my story? Or can I pick up where I left off and still have the DLCs? That would be my question. Because if we play this again, I might look at the DLCs and try to make it more interesting and download it. This is our first time. Cove got to the door first, opening it. There was a mat on the floor in front of the door. As you stepped over the threshold to his room, you felt a crunch of sand beneath your feet. Well, he obviously did not vacuum very well. You can download the DLC, restart the game, and load your save file, and they'll be unlocked. Oh, okay. Well, maybe I can try that next time we stream. If we, I'll try to do that. I think that'll be fun. I don't know, I ignored the DLC just because, like you said, the game doesn't really explain everything that well. Because I remember reading over it and I'm like, I just didn't really get it. But thank you for letting me know. Yeah, I'll definitely look into it more. You glanced down. Sand was clustered around the entrance. You even spotted smaller amounts of it dusting the rest of the room's floor. Though you hadn't anticipated it, you weren't surprised at the sight. Of course, Beach Boy Cove Holden would get his room all sandy. Cove was a bit shy as he said so, fidgeting with the hem of his shirt using one hand and vaguely gesturing to the space with the other. Why does he get to be all shy? We showed him our room a long time ago. There's stuff you can sit on if you want. Just stuff. It's just like a pile of dirty clothes, and he's like, you can sit here. That's fine. In my opinion, Step 1 is a bit of a slog. The DLC helps, but it's required for the best experience later on. The rest of the DLC is quality. Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds good. I know that they continue to update it, so that's pretty cool. I don't know what other games the developer does, if they've done other games, but this one's pretty cool. I love the illustrations and stuff. It's cute. You look over at the desk chair as an option. When you turn back, Cove was already sitting on the edge of his bed. Are you trying to make your own beach? Should we say thank you for letting us come over? I think we should. They have, but none of the previous games hold a candle to this. Oh, well, that makes sense. This is pretty good. I should be the one thanking you? You furrowed your brows at his shifty reaction to everything. You could tell he wasn't in the mood to talk about it right now. We should sit next to Cove. Something's obviously up. With a silence growing, your gaze began to drift. You stared at the bright fish swimming in the tank. There was a bunch of them, floating to and fro in the open space. They stood out starkly against the green aquarium plants. How long have you had those fish?
Yes.
My dad bought them for me not very long after I moved here. I guess it's been years now. I have no idea how long fish are supposed to live, but when I was younger, I won 4 fish at a carnival, and I was told that they wouldn't even last the day, and they lasted over 4 years. These 4 little carnival fish, goldfish that I had. And the only reason that they died was because my mom accidentally used tap water instead of spring water in the, when we changed out their water. So I feel like fish live a long time. Droplets in the Closet. It's more traditional dating sim game with mini games and stats to manage. Shiloh and Jeremy from this game are cameos from that one. Oh, that's so cool. I love when games like bring their past characters into their new games. And so if you're a fan of their old games, you can continue that. And it makes you want to play the newer games. I love when games do that. Or developers, I should say. You peered carefully into the tank. The fish looked to be doing well. He must be taking good care of them. Most of them were small, but there was one especially big. What are their names? He doesn't name his fish. I could tell you all of my goldfish names. One was Silverback. One was Mustache, because he had a mustache. One was Camouflage. His name was Camo, because he was green. He was a green goldfish. And the other one was probably Goldie or something. I did have a goldfish named Goldie, but I think I was younger. But anyway, I don't know how people could have things and not name them. Like, I even want to name my plants. I want to do a stream where I name, like, when I get a bunch of plants and we just name my plants. Once the DLC is out for this, they'll be pretty much done and start working on the next big project called Our Life Now and Forever. Oh, that'll be so exciting. That'll be great. That'll take them a long time though, I bet. Yeah, that'll be so fun. I'm excited. He lifted an eyebrow. He continued the explanations sheepishly. Mostly I just call them things based on what they look like. Squirt for a small one, tangerine for a really orange one, that sort of thing. Okay, I kind of get that. I've had a lot of fish and I'm not good at coming up with names. You found that relatable? I found that funny. Who knew that was a weakness of his? It was an entertaining revelation. A couple of them have other types of names. He pointed to a small orangey red fish. It was minding its own business away from the others. My dad named her Dreamcatcher, and that's the other one's name is Mark. Mom came up with that one. She just named the fish Mark. His eyes reflecting the glow from the tank. You let other people name your fish? He then turned to you, tilting his head to the side. There was a considering look on his face. Do you want to name one? Heck yeah, I want to name a fish. Technically, Beginnings and Always started concept as early as late 2016 and released in late 2020 without Step 4. Oh wow, yeah, they put a lot of time and effort into this, it seems like. I mean, you can tell they do. It's a great game. Yes, I want to name one. Can I? There are a few who don't have names right now, the newer ones. You can pick which one you want to name. Pointed at each of the recent acquisitions out to you. Okay, the first is a small one. It's orange and zipped everywhere. Second one is slightly bigger and red. Its tail was dotted with black spots. And then the last fish is multicolored and bright. Which one do we go with? I always pick the smallest of animals. Like, all of my, when I had cats, they were always like runts of the litter. Like, I always picked the smallest ones. But I like the look of the medium fish. The red one with the freckles, what would we name them? We could name her... We'll name it Wendy. You know? Oh, no, we probably shouldn't name it Wendy. I was thinking of the fast food restaurant. I'm obviously very hungry, but yeah, with what happened at TwitchCon, I don't think we should name her Wendy. We'll just name her, we'll do the smallest one since it's orange. Oh, we have to pick one? Oh, we can type in our own. Type in your own answer. We're gonna name it Mustache in tribute of my late goldfish mustache. With that, his attention moved to you from the tank. You smiled proudly at the mustache as it swam through the tendrils of the plants, disappearing and then reappearing soon after. You know, I'm not allowed to have pets in my house, not even fish. That doesn't sound fair. It's not like fish would make a mess of your house or anything. You just take good care of their tank and feed them and they'll be okay. They trust Elizabeth and me to go around the neighborhood alone, but they won't even let us have a pet. Maybe when you're older they'll let you. I don't know, they seem pretty against it. Your current conversation brought to mind a memory from years ago. You launched it to Cove without warning, earning you a brief, confused look. One time, Lizzie came back from playing at the beach and just shut herself in her room. She only came down for food and then she ran back upstairs straight after. It was kind of weird. My moms didn't think much of it at first though. But then at night, Mom went to her room to say goodnight and started screaming. Ma and I ran over to see what happened. Lizzie had this huge lizard in her arms. Sorry, I felt like that's how our character would have said it. Just really fast. A lizard? Where'd that come from? Elizabeth said she saw it half buried in the sand and didn't know what it was. Then she pulled it out and got the answer, so she brought it home. She hid the lizard in her room for most of the day because she wanted to keep it. Mom and Ma were not happy. They worried about putting it out during the night, but she was going to have to let it go in the morning. Lizzie was really upset. She did bring it back to the beach eventually, but she wouldn't talk to anyone for days. You laughed, thinking back to the time Elizabeth had always been stubborn, but when she was younger, she forgot grudges quickly. Now it wasn't so easy. Cove had been quiet for most of the story, apart from the reveal of the lizard. He had a thoughtful look on his face. I can't even imagine what it'd be like to have a sibling. You gave a serious thought to this statement before you told him. I mean, I have siblings, but there was only a short period in my life where I grew up with them. And I don't know, there's ups and downs. It's fun to have her there when she wants to be there, but now Elizabeth barely feels like hanging out with me. Cove pursed his lips at the words, considering them quietly for a while. That's interesting. I think your family is cool. Oh, I accidentally clicked on something. Okay, there we go. He didn't have much else to say, though while on the topic of your family, you consider your relationship with your moms too. Thought your moms were okay? Our moms are great. You got along with them. You had disagreements with them, but at the end of the day, you loved them and they loved you, and that's all that really mattered. A thought struck you and your attention suddenly settled back on Cove. Yeah, Mom might not let Elizabeth or me have pets and stuff, but at least they never tried to pay someone to be my friend. Why did I say that? I did not want to say that. Why did the game do me like that? I would never say that. Oh my gosh. It had been years since he found out about your first meeting with his dad. It was easy to joke about these days. Okay, well, I didn't find it funny at all. That's awful. Cove tossed his head back in an overly dramatic way, sighing heavily. I almost forgot about that.
No way.
Not really. I'll never be able to forget that actually ever happened for the rest of my life. It's gonna humiliate me forever. Just laugh it off. When in doubt, laugh it off. Cove shook his head at your reaction, but he didn't say anything more on the topic. It was obvious he'd rather talk about anything else. Time passed, but you didn't really notice. The two of you were busy making plans for the rest of the summer and chatting about your respective days. Eventually, you heard a muffled holler from a different part of the house. You and Cove raised your heads in unison. It's time for dinner. Cove watched the firmly shut door he had been locked behind for most of the night, but he didn't make a move to get up from the bed. You couldn't see his face, so you didn't know what expression he was wearing. I'm glad you came. Cove peeked back at you from the side. It's been awkward. I get that. It's been hard for you, huh? You felt sympathetic towards him. You didn't know what he was going through, but you cared about him. Cove said nothing else and remained sat where he was. Now would be as good a time as any to ask him why his parents so suddenly wanted you to come over. Yeah, let's ask. It hasn't been awkward for just me. Sometimes it gets like this, when no one else is around, but now you're here. You had considered that, but it sort of made sense in a way. There was another shout from outside, too muffled to actually know the words, but you could imagine what they were. Cove finally got up, lumbering away with his shoulders sagged, and you followed after him. Together, the two of you made your way back to the living room. As you expected, Cove's parents were politely waiting for you at the kitchen table. Beside the windows overlooking the back of the house, food had been prepared and set. Mr. Holden beamed at you, and Cove took your place. I hope everyone's hungry. I'm definitely hungry right now. Cove's mumbled response wasn't nearly as upbeat as theirs. His parents didn't notice, or did they pretend not to? Mr. Holden instead looked at you, grinning.
Thanks.
Let's all just take a moment to thank our special guest for being with us here tonight. I'm so glad you were able to make it, Bish, and on such short notice, too. I think we thank them, obviously.
All right.
Upon his encouragement, you looked over the meal spread out in front of you. There was a large garden salad in the center, surrounded by a variety of Mexican dishes. There were a lot of sides and optional sauces added. I'm not the biggest fan of Mexican food, but I think it's because I haven't ever had good homemade Mexican food. I've had really good tacos, but that's about it. So we can work with this. You didn't mind Mexican food. Mom loved it, so you ate it as a family often. In a way, it made your first dinner at the Holden house feel a bit more normal. Utensils and plates scraped and clinked together as the group began filling their plates. Cliff, could you pass the salsa verde? Of course. Let me just say, you really outdid yourself tonight. I'm so jealous. Cove's parents made small talk, filling the silence with what seemed to be barely any effort. Did it take you a long time to cook all this, Mr. Holden? Not at all. Sure, this is more than I usually make for me and Cove, but I enjoyed every second of it. Might have gone faster if you had some help. Cove's mom grumbled, but it was lighthearted. Mr. Holden chuckled and shook his head. Not this again. I make the rules here, and I say guests don't cook.
Come on.
Everything looks great. Cove smiled. It was genuine, even if it was strained at the corners. Brief silences interspersed the small talk. You piled some food on your plate, waiting for your turn if someone was serving themselves a dish that you had your eye on. Once the food had been divided and things settled down, Cove's parents started talking again. You sat up in your seat and noticed the way they both look at you. How has everything been at your house? Are your moms well? You keeping busy this summer? Or maybe they're just trying to take it easy during the break? You felt overwhelmed. I mean, I kind of felt overwhelmed reading it. You were surprised but didn't mind. You hadn't expected so many questions all at once. Still, what else was there to talk about? You mentioned things you've done all summer. moms doing? They're the same as always. That's all. I don't think we should tell them how our house is doing. Someone say info overboard? Bish can't keep up with everything you're throwing out. Guess it was a lot to take in at once. Did you know, Cliff, Bish is into music?
Nice work.
It's just a hobby. Everyone needs a hobby. Wood carving. I want to learn how to do wood carving. Cove's parents were definitely the encouraging type, but you could already tell that much about them. There was a lull in conversation as everyone focused their attention on their respective plates. You noted, not for the first time, that Cove's parents were the ones guiding the conversation. You wondered if you should break the silence this time. I guess we can help out.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna talk about ourselves more? Mr. Holden was like a flower soaking up the rays of sun. He beamed, flattered by the praise. You ate until you were satisfied. Try not to eat too much. You ate. Don't hold back. It had taken you some time to finish it all, but eventually you cleared your plate. Cove successfully kept his presence to a minimum for the full meal. He was slumped over, even now, toying with his silverware. His parents practically only talked to you. Most attempts to entice him to join the conversation failed. It wasn't typical for him to say so little. He at least tried to participate. Well, with my experience, he barely says anything, ever. unless we're, like, alone. You didn't get much time to contemplate Cove's situation because your attention was taken by Mr. Holden pointedly clearing his voice. Not to sound like a broken record, but thanks for coming, Bish. I'm glad we finally got the chance to have you over for a real dinner. This is the first time Bish has ever had dinner here? Why in the world haven't you invited her over sooner? Cove was always the one going over to Bish's house until now. I mean, how was I supposed to reject the generous offers of the Bish family to host my kid? Kyra shook her head, but the amused smile she was sporting told you that she wasn't actually mad. This guy, honestly. The three of you looked at Cove in unison, his small sound being more than enough to get the focus on him after his silence. By now, he stopped fiddling with his fork. Would it be alright for Bish to stay over, like, for the night? He shot a shy glance. Almost said sly. So we could stay the night? That's kind of sudden. Okay, Mr. Holden's shoulders stiffened. He sat up straighter, his eyes darting back and forth between you and Cove. His mouth opened, but not a peep came out. You'd never seen Cove's dad say no to him before, but this was different than usual requests. It wasn't so simple, and Mr. Holden was lost. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, I don't think. I would have friends stay over last minute all the time. But, I mean, every family's different. Then Cove's mom reached out and took a hold of his shirt collar. She pulled him closer. She glanced at you two before leaning in and bringing a hand up in front of their faces. The two adults whispered seriously at each other. Cove's eyes opened wider. He leaned forward as if it would help him overhear his parents' conversation. Mr. Holden kept gesturing with his hands, while Kyra made sure he didn't get too far away with all his movements. Every now and then, both of them would watch you and Cove out of the corner of their eye. It didn't seem like they were fighting to you. They looked more like some kind of tiny sports team having a private huddle. That would be really awkward to have to witness. After a bit, they broke the group up. They moved back to sit properly in their chairs. You snuck a look at Cove. He stared at them expectantly. You were eager to hear their verdict, too. Well, Kyra and I think that should be fine, but... He lifted a finger dramatically, his brows raising as he met Cove's gaze and then your own. We'll have to talk with Bish's parents to make sure they'd be comfortable with it. If they are, we can arrange for a sleepover to happen on a different night when everyone is more prepared. If Bish's folks don't like the idea, there's nothing we can do. He finished the mini speech with a wide shrug using his full arms. He also checked out Kyra from the corner of his eye and gave her a crooked smile. She nodded approvingly and grinned back. You thought you saw her give him a thumbs up, but her hand was partially blocked by the table. They looked so pleased with themselves over the answer, but they just passed the actual decision on whether it was all right or not to someone else, namely your parents. If this was a sports game, they would have punted the ball away. Cove hung his head deflated. He had been hoping you could stay over today, not some hypothetical time in the future. I'll sneak the phone in my room. Hey, you could always sneak into my room? No, we're not offering that. Cheer up, Cove. I'm still here right now, aren't I? And things will work out somehow. Though he still appeared upset, the corners of his lips lifted a little in appreciation of your comfort. With that, dinner finally came to an end. Mr. Holden stood up from the table and began collecting empty plates. Cove was asked to help out, which he did with a little fuss. Kyra tried to lend a hand as well. Oh, I pressed another button. Okay, Kyra tried to lend a hand as well. However, Mr. Holden didn't let her. It seemed she was barred from cleaning as well as cooking. You weren't allowed to chip in either since you were there as the declared guest of honor. Although the meal was over, the night wasn't. It looked like you weren't going home just yet after all. You were asked to wait on the couch. While Cove and his dad were cleaning up the mess, Kyra disappeared down the hall after shooting you a wink. It was a bit strange sitting by yourself while everyone else had something to do. Luckily, you weren't alone for too long. After a couple of minutes, Cove's mom returned with a deck of cards in hand. Cove and his dad looked over their shoulders at the question. They were mutually intrigued by the cards in her hand. I wonder what card game we're going to play. You accepted and followed her lead. The living room carpet was soft, though the hardwood floor underneath could definitely still be felt. Kyra did an overhand shuffle while she waited for the others to finish their task. The smile had yet to leave her lips. You were excited, right? No, we enjoyed her enthusiasm. Cove's mom was funny, upbeat, and easygoing. You leaned closer to watch her expectantly shuffle. It didn't take much longer for Cove and his dad to wrap things up enough to call it good. Cove's dad appeared first, followed closely behind Cove. Mr. Holden rubbed his hands together in anticipation. He went straight down the hall instead, without even a word. You stared at him confused as he disappeared throughout his bedroom door. Cove's parents didn't look concerned at the stunt. Kyra nonchalantly split the deck of cards into two and rifled the halves together while offering an explanation of sorts. Cove doesn't keep his wallet with him when he's home. He puts it away. What? Cove quickly returned to the living room, a black wallet in his hand. He took a place at the foot of the table with the rest of you. You all used real money on card games with family? While you sat there, your hands idle in your lap. The three shot looks at one another and size each other up. That's right. $5 per round per person. Winner takes all. Go big or go home. Are you planning on kicking Bish to the curb, or do you intend on donating the guest of honor's spot, Mr. High Roller? Mr. Holden narrowed his eyes and leaned back against the side of the couch, completely at ease.
No worries.
If Bish wants to play, I'll fund her way in. Don't you worry about that. He rested an arm across the top of the knee that he propped up. Cove's dad was acting slick in a way you'd never seen before. You appreciate his offer. His tone and his stance instantly became more familiar, friendly, and when he started directing his words to you, no problem, you can count on me. You can let me pay for Bish, she's my friend. Alright, bud, I concede, you're too polite for me. Aw, Cove's gonna pay for us. Okay. Well, you've got your ticket. Interested in throwing in? You glanced around. This seems like a serious business. In response to your consternation, Kyra softened her competitive smile. Don't worry too much. We'll probably just do some rounds of Go Fish tonight. We're betting on Go Fish? Oh my gosh. You joined. Mr. Holden gave you a big thumbs up while Cove nodded firmly back. I'm pretty decent at Go Fish. I'm pretty decent at any card game that I've played. Like Skippo, Uno. I'm pretty good at those. Sometimes you won, sometimes you lost. You like to think you weren't bad at it though. Well, play for however long everyone wants to keep going, or until people start running out of cash, but are still refusing to quit while they're behind. Speaking for yourself, I see. With a laugh, Kyra nudged you using an elbow, then motioned towards the other two with her chin. Yeah, $5 per round with family. That's pretty expensive. That's pretty expensive. Although I've never betted with my family, so I wouldn't know. Don't be fooled by their soft faces. These boys are sharks. In reaction to her words, Mr. Holden smirked and Cove's eyebrows became more angled. Kyra's phrasing made you think back to when you were young, specifically of Mr. Holden's favorite shark pants that he used to wear all the time. Perhaps they had been a fit for him in ways you didn't know of. You could feel tension in the air. Cove and his parents glued their eyes to one another, then all placed $5 bills in an empty space in front of them. Cove dropped an extra one for you, giving you a tiny smile after he did. Once this was done, Kyra began dealing out cards to everybody. It was time to begin. The first round came and went quickly, with the group getting into the groove of things. You won right away, which meant you had the money to keep playing the second round. You're a natural. Heck yeah, we are. We're pro gamers. Nicely done. You'd better keep those wits about you for the next round. As the night went on, so did the games. Mr. Holden would jokingly shake his fist whenever someone other than him got a pair. Kyra acted as a news anchor, reporting on every move everyone made by speaking into her curled fist. Cove was still a few words, but now it was because he was focused on the game instead of being overcome with awkwardness. Most of the time, you even spotted a smile on his lips. You won quite a few games, to your delight. You had hefty money piled to the side of your table. You must regret paying Bish's way in now, huh? No way. Aw, he's still on our side. Bish might be beating me, but she's also beating you two. Cove turned towards you and smiled, looking pleased at your ability to watch his mom and dad. You grinned at him, touched by his speedy comeback. It became clear that where the money went in the moment didn't really matter. They ended up giving it back to one another in other ways, and not just through more rounds of cards. You sat back, looking over the scene. A tiny smile grew on your face. Cove's family was pretty cool, you thought. You were glad you got this chance to come over to spend time with the three of them. Is that it? Oh. That was it, guys. We have growing, and that's all we have. Okay. I'm gonna get a drink real quick. Okay. We're gonna go on to our last moment for step 2. Oh, there's more. Okay. There's 2 sorries. Okay. Early one afternoon, you found yourself in the living room with your family. It was another one of those summer days where it felt too hot to go outside, but it was too uncomfortable to do anything else inside either. The air conditioner was cranked up as far as you could negotiate it, but everyone was still being pretty lazy. You, your moms, and sister were lounging around while the TV blared on in the backdrop, ignored by all of you. You specifically were lying spread eagle on the carpet, sitting cross-legged on the floor, perched on the arm of the couch, draped over the coffee table. I don't think I've ever draped myself over a coffee table. We'll sit cross-legged. You looked out the window at the backyard, not that there was any of that particular to watch. Elizabeth broke the silence with a loud groan. You glanced over. She was lying on her back over the couch, massaging her calf with one hand. I feel terrible. I'm dying in this house and my legs hurt. Mom looked from the magazine she'd barely been flipping through and frowned, concerned. Could you have strained them somehow? Flailed briefly. flopped onto her side with a heavy sigh. I don't know, it just hurts. Ma got up from her seat at the kitchen table and walked over to your sister. Did you guys hear my stomach just now? It was so loud. I heard it, and I have my headphones on. Anyway, sorry about that. She did a light pat on Elizabeth's shoulder sympathetically. I'm sorry you have to deal with that. Maybe it's growing pains. Elizabeth scoffed. She didn't look impressed by Ma's assessment. I'd rather be my height forever than deal with this. Ma walked over to, leaning against the back of the couch. Yeah, I was told I had growing pains as well, and here I am at 5'3", and haven't grown a single inch since then, so I don't know. Kids, they grow up so fast. Soon Elizabeth will have a home of her own, maybe even with a nice husband and some kids if she feels like it. She sniffed loudly and wiped at her eye, but you could tell it was just a bit. You tilted your head. Even though you knew Elizabeth liked guys, it was hard to imagine her with a boyfriend or a husband. She only seemed invested in hanging out with her group of friends, not chasing after boys. Mom must agree with you because she shook her head. Let's not exaggerate. She's still practically a child. If you ever do pursue romance, Elizabeth, you can come talk to me about it. Definitely. We're always willing to lend an ear. No way. I'm not talking to my moms about that. I feel that. Mom's jaw dropped and she gasped in an exaggerated display of shock. Her hand came up to rest on her chest. Ma only grinned. She didn't look offended by Elizabeth's quick response at all. It really wouldn't be so bad to come to us. I know it's like to have a crush on a pretty boy or two. I don't, but I can listen anyway. Okay. This is getting awkward. Mom snorted at her own joke, while Ma burst into giggles. They're having a little too much fun at Elizabeth's expense. Elizabeth certainly wasn't feeling the amusement because she rolled her eyes and sat up. I'm going back to my room. I'd rather melt alone. She strode off towards the staircase, taking the steps 2 at a time. Your mom stared after her, then turned to each other with raised eyebrows. Looks like we scared her off with all the romance talk. We'll get her next time. I love this little duo. They're pretty and they're wonderful moms. You watched them titter with some surprise. Obviously your moms liked women, but you had no idea that Ma liked guys too. Today was the first time you heard her say something like that. I always thought you only liked ladies. You like guys too. Happy to bring you into things now that you'd spoken up. She smiled and nodded. But I like your mom most out of everyone. She's special. Ma's smile turned in soft corners, like it usually did when she looked at her. She pinched Mom's cheek lightly. Mom reached up to cup her hands over Ma's, even when Ma stopped pulling her cheek. Their hands remained clasped together. Thanks, Lonnie. I think most women have charm, but no one can hold a candle to you. That's so cute. You thought the moment was sweet. You smiled. Oh, hold on. I gotta adjust my chair. Okay, there we go. You smiled to yourself at the sight. No matter how often your moms expressed their feelings for each other, it was nice to witness it. Ma looked back to you. Ma looked back to you. Letting Mom's hands go with a brief squeeze, she settled down next to you, and Mom followed soon after. You know, I'm also here to listen to you whenever you're ready. That offer isn't just for Elizabeth. There's no rush, of course. You can take all the time you need. Don't think you have to stick with whatever you come up with right now. That's pretty nice of them to say. As long as they don't go too much into it. Still, we won't push the topic. She gave Ma the weakest, scathing look possible while being unable to stop grinning. We'll just shrug. Mom let out an exaggerated sniffle. It didn't take a genius to realize it was fake. First Elizabeth and now you, Bish. Do you have to grow up? Children tend to do that from time to time. Your parents quickly grew absorbed in their conversation about rearing kids. You took that as your cue to leave, getting up so you could spend time alone in your room. They let you go without problem, so you made your way up the stairs. You let out a sigh once you stepped into your room. It was just as sweltering in there as it was in the living room, possibly even a little warmer. You couldn't even open your window since it was hotter outside, and you just let the AC out. You dragged your feet across the room, you checked your current sweltering condition in the mirror, and you passed by. You thought back to the conversation you had downstairs, about growing up and all that. After a moment, you stepped a bit closer to the mirror. You stared into it, and then turned away from the surface to look at yourself. You were definitely growing, all right. It was weird to think how you were now in comparison to what you'd been when you were younger. When it came to your body, sort of scrawny. Muscle definition, oh heck yeah. We're getting slender, losing some of that baby weight, I guess. At birth, you were assigned female, assigned male. Oh, they added in transgender. That's interesting. I've never played a visual novel, but that's cool. Okay. You're assigned female. Your chest was flat now, but that would likely change. You're starting to develop. Okay, I don't know. I didn't expect it to ask me that question. Standing sideways, it was easier to notice the slight increase in that area. You ran a fingertip over your birthmark. That was something that had been consistent for you. Over my birthmark? Did I say I had a birthmark? I don't remember saying I had a birthmark. Where is our birthmark? You thought you looked fantastic? You were self-conscious, you just wanted to look different than you did. Aw. You didn't look too bad. I think that's always a positive way to look at things. A slight smile tugged at your mouth. Sure, maybe you won't be a model or anything, but you weren't half bad. You shook your head roughly, putting in thoughts of what you were turning into out of your mind. This wasn't time to focus on such things. You had to find something to do in this heat. You shuffled over your bed, collapsing to the mattress, your brows crunched up in thought. Time passed slowly, and to your annoyance, possible ideas of what to do were few and far between. You weren't sure how long it had been, but eventually you heard your mom call from downstairs. There's a call for you. Cove wants to come over. You got to your feet and headed downstairs. You needed to go downstairs soon anyway because your empty stomach told you it wasn't almost time for lunch. Yeah, I would say I'm wanting some lunch as well. Just as you reached the bottom of the stairs, you saw Mom put the phone back on the receiver. She glanced at Ma. Well, here comes trouble. Ma clicked her tongue in disapproval. He's such a good boy. Cove never wants to cause trouble. He'd just be a bit thoughtless and impulsive. Oh, we're just talking crap about Cove now. He's very sweet, but that's what makes it more of a problem. If a stranger or some kid from school was egging Bish on to behave badly, I think we can both agree that she'd do the right thing in the end. But if Cove Holden got into a reckless mood and she wanted Bish to be a part of the ride, can we really be certain of what call she'd make then? Yeah, I think so. Bish helps Cove settle down. He would have gotten himself in even more trouble without her. You have a point. Well, at least they have a little bit of faith in me, I guess. She blinked in surprise and waved at you. Ma looked, noticing you at the foot of the stairs as well. I didn't expect you to come down already. I just wanted to let you know what was happening. We're gonna call her out. Then I wouldn't have had her. What? You were saying things too. I didn't say anything I wouldn't have told Bish directly. You're unbelievable. You shook your head at your parents, even as you fought a blush when you remembered just what they'd been discussing. Sorry for being gossipy and saying that about your friend. I can be bad too. We'll get out of your way now. Mom sighed and mocked defeat and made her way down the hall. Ma followed after her with a hushed giggle. Now you were alone in the living room, tasked with waiting for Cove, and that was just fine with you. If it hadn't been so hot outside, you would have visited him at his house a long time ago. You took a seat at the kitchen counter and settled for the wait. As expected, there was a knock on the door a few minutes later. When you got up and answered it, your neighbor was standing on the other side. He came in once you stepped aside to let him pass, giving a little wave. You greeted him as you typically did, with a nudge on the shoulder, with a low 5. Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be sick. Nudge on the shoulder. Cove sighed and wiped his face a bit. You noted the sheen of sweat across his brow. He must have been glad to be back in the air-conditioned place, even if he only had to walk across the street. Something going on? Why'd you come over? I don't want to do anything. Not when it's like this. He gestured vaguely to the humid air. I thought I could at least do nothing with you. I was thinking the exact same thing. I haven't really eaten because of the heat. Probably should have had lunch. I didn't have breakfast this morning. Great, we can have lunch. You headed into the kitchen. You crossed your arms as you glanced around, wondering what you should scrounge up for a meal. I don't want to eat anything that's warmed up. Is there something cold or not cooked? After a bit of back and forth, you make sandwiches. There's a white bread, wheat bread, sourdough. Wait. We have so much bread. We have like one option at my house. You reached for the mixed grains and made your decision. What do we want? Not gluten-free, that's for sure. I can't stand gluten-free bread. A lettuce wrap? Oh no, I don't like lettuce. What is people... I feel like so many people in my life are talking about lettuce. I made a tweet about how everyone is talking about lettuce. Cinnamon swirl bread. That sounds fun, but what kind of sandwich are we having? I think we'll just go with white bread. Sweeter style of sandwich? No, savory. As for the ingredients... Oh my goodness, we have to build a sandwich. Well, personally, I like tomatoes. Not pepper jack. I like Colby Jack cheese. I don't like straight cheddar. We'll do mozzarella. And turkey. Turkey sounds good. And then you move on. I don't really have... How do we feel about mayonnaise, really? I love ranch, but I do not want it on my turkey sandwich, that's for sure. Sweet mustard would be good with this. I think we'll just do mayonnaise. And that was everything. The two of you bustled around the kitchen, opening and closing things in order to collect everything you needed. He was making a peanut butter, banana, and honey sandwich. That sounds so good. That sounded great, dude. By the time you were done, Cove already cleaned up his workstation and turned to face you. You waited as you quickly returned the ingredients and cleaned a few utensils. Then the two of you collectively, your respective plates, both agreed on heading upstairs to hang out in your room. You and Cove entered your bedroom while balancing your food on the plates. Nothing fell, so it was a successful trip. He immediately took a big bite of his sandwich. This sandwich is really good. It's okay. He had better sandwiches. He leaned back on his hands while chewing and glanced around. His every movement was sluggish. What do we want to do today? He rolled his head back, looking up at the ceiling. What about tic-tac-toe? Sure, why not?
Alright.
I want to be the X's. I'm always the X's. He just took my X. Okay, well, I always pick the center first. After the first round, you were about to take another bite. Wonder if anyone turned off the TV downstairs? TV was on earlier, but no one was really watching. Poor show, playing with no one around to enjoy it. I feel like it was some kind of criminal drama. Are we guessing the TV show? I remember there was a woman with long blonde hair, I think. She was solving crimes, like a detective or something. There were scenes at a police station because someone got arrested. He lapsed into silence, the both of you thoughtful. Then Cove chuckled. It wasn't that funny, but you enjoyed the laughter anyway. Oh, okay. We're back to our minigame, I guess. What should be our next move? Oh my goodness. I want to finish my game. I'm competitive. You can be my new roomie. Looks like we'll both be stuck forever. I'll have to charge you rent. $50 for rent? That's so cheap. I'm gonna live with Bish. Cove shook his head at your terrible pun and went back to the game. Oh my gosh. Cove spoke up once more, catching your attention. He was peering down at the piece of paper. Huh. Is that how they name tic-tac-toe? And what about the toes? Yeah, what about the toes? You couldn't say anything to that. He had you there. We don't really have much of an option. By this point, Cove had finished his sandwich. What happened to not being able to get up ever again? Over his victory, he hasn't won anything. It's a tie. Were you out of it? I know I didn't try that hard. You somehow weren't surprised by that, despite Cove being the one who suggested the game. He started to yawn, his hand coming up over his mouth. You understand why. Yawning was just as he was feeling disinterested was kind of funny coincidence. I think we should just laugh along with it. It's not that serious. Even though I did want to get back to the game. Cove just grinned and flopped onto his back, leaving his marker on the floor beside him. You stayed seated, looking at your friend over as he stretched himself out. You really are so tall now. Cove snickered a bit, random topic. He propped himself up onto his elbows to meet your gaze. Why are you even bringing that up? My moms were talking about me and Elizabeth growing up, getting bigger and stuff. Mom only likes women, and Ma likes women too, but not just women. Since the two of you were engaged in conversation, Cove got back into sitting position. He brought a knee up to rest his arm atop it. A wistful expression overtook his face. I wonder when I'll know how I feel about that kind of thing. You don't know? I heard at some point you're supposed to start liking types of people, guys or girls or whatever.
I don't know.
But I haven't. Nothing's changed. Maybe I have to grow up more. Maybe you just don't like anybody. Or maybe you like all types of people. That's normal too. Cove seemed to appreciate that thought. The smile that appeared on his face was any indication. Okay, what about you? In a general way? I don't know if I don't know about these questions. You didn't think you could tell if you had an interest in people physically. You didn't have a physical interest in other people. You only seem to feel I don't know. When I was that age, I didn't experience physical attraction to anyone. You didn't think you could tell if you had any interest in people romantically. You didn't really have romantic interest. You only seemed to feel romantic attraction. You were only in a general way. I don't think, maybe you just can't tell. Why is he asking specifically about boys? You weren't physically interested, but you'd be happy to have a romantic relationship with a guy. What if we just said we're not interested in guys? This whole thing is about getting with Cove, is it not? About being with him in the end. You generally weren't interested in guys, but there were special exceptions. I think you'd be happy with someone. I don't know. You generally weren't interested in girls. I mean, if we're talking about physical... I personally no. I think that they are... I think girls are attractive, but I'm not attracted to them. If that makes sense. For people who aren't exclusively male or female... I mean, that's not really something I think about when I'm looking for a partner. You returned your attention to Cove. And by that I mean, I'm just not thinking about gender when I'm thinking about a relationship. I'm thinking about the person and who they are. But I mean, that's different for everyone. People have their preferences. You explained how you felt to Cove. You'd rather not talk about it. Oh, I don't remember what the question was. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. You explained how you felt. Then he scratched the back of his head. I'm not really sure how we ended up talking about all of that. And we just started playing tic-tac-toe. It was awkward. Conversation had a mind of its own. Have you learned any new songs? Yeah, actually, I'm really glad you brought it up. Did we play him some songs on our clarinet? Did we play him the Squidward song? You pulled yourself up off the floor as Cove did, and with some minor complaint, you both stretched your arms, groaning, and yawned into your hands. You glanced out your window briefly, taking in the soft reds, pinks, and purples of the late afternoon sky, and somehow you made it through the scorching hot day in one piece. Cove turned towards you, motioning towards your window with his chin. Want to go outside? It might be better out there than it is now. Alright, we're going outside. This time of day, it was quiet outside. The flowers blew gently in the wind, petals trembling but stubbornly hanging in there. You felt a breeze cool your heated skin, and you relaxed your shoulders. Cove closed his eyes, releasing a deep breath. Your opinion has changed. A beat passed, but his gaze didn't stray from your own. His voice was impossibly soft when he spoke up again. I'm glad I met you, Bish. You're really important to me, you know? Aw. You're special to me. Your voice came out equally delicate. From the way his features brightened, though, you knew he had heard you. The two of you looked into each other's eyes. Nothing more needed to be said. Even as the sun disappeared completely and the sky darkened, you and Cove remained side by side for as long as you possibly could. And that's the end of our moment. Wow. Okay. Well, I think that we've been on for 3 hours now. And I think that should be the end of this stream. Let me take my blanket off real quick. Or here, we'll just switch to scene 2. Alrighty. Thank you so much for coming to my stream. Thank you to the new follows and new people in chat today. I hope you had a good time. My next time that I am streaming, I believe, is probably Monday. Let me check real quick. I have... Yes, oh, wait. Yes, my next time I'm streaming will be Monday because Sunday my plans got changed. So yeah, on Monday I already uploaded the schedule to Twitch. So if you want, you can look there. I got plans for our Halloween special stream coming up. Like I said, that'll probably be the 25th or the 26th, depending. But thank you all for coming. I had so much fun, and we're so much closer to building our story with Cove and with Bish Bish. But thank you all for coming. I have a new VOD up from when we played Overwatch, and if you want to check that out, and I'll be posting more to Twitter. Oh, and if you want to contribute to the ghost videos that I watch during stream, feel free to post or comment on my post on Twitter. And yeah, I hope you all have a lovely day, and thank you for coming. All right, see ya.